Your support honestly meant a lot. Like when you left your first comment on my video saying that you liked what I was doing. Like I don't know, I clicked on your video, saw you had like about 400 subscribers, and I was like, this is really cool. And then I also had a moment where I was like, hey, that's not that many subscribers.
It's not.
And but it was like I realized I'm like most of the Flesh and Blood community are around this level. Like there are some that have a few thousand, like Red Zone Rogue. You got DM
Mhm.
Armada and people like Noxious or the Professor who make videos. But for the most part, most of the creators are pretty small, and I'm like, I have a chance. Like when I started making Magic videos, it felt like I was going up against these towering titans, and if I didn't have like the highest quality videos, I wasn't getting people to watch me
Yeah.
or if I wasn't pumping them out every day. And whereas in this community, it's like there's actually room, and so I can grow my channel while I improve at the same time. Like I don't need to be stellar right off the bat in order to get people to watch, which is nice, you know. It's
Oh, it's
nice to feel like you
huge.
have a chance.
Yeah, and it's cool to be part of the community in some way, and you feel like you're a person who is in the community. Even after like 2 weeks of making content, you can just like, people are like, oh, I know that guy, and because if
Mhm.
you look at the Facebook groups and the Reddits and everything, there's only a couple. What the Reddit's at like 5,000 users or
Yeah, yeah,
something. It's so small.
it's so small that people don't realize that this game is just absolutely minuscule. And that's why I think, like for people like us, like you've been mentioning, hold on to your Monarch first edition boxes, which
Hmm.
is what I actually went and grabbed. I wanted to kind of, yeah, I've got one here and I
Hey,
haven't opened it. I I thought I'd be more tempted. For some reason, I'm not as tempted at the moment. Maybe because Unlimited's releasing tomorrow, so I should be getting a box or with it tomorrow or Monday if it doesn't arrive on time.
hmm
But I don't think people really realize that even as the market's cooling off and the prices are going down, 5, 10 years from now, if the game survives, which I think it will, I genuinely do. The game is too good to die, and the company's too smart to let it die.
totally agree.
Um, these boxes are going to be worth an insane amount of money. Like they're just the simple fact of being 5 to 10 years old, first edition. So many people are opening them. Like they're going to be worth a fair amount. And I look forward to doing what you suggested actually, which is trade them for new stuff.
Nice, man. Yeah, because the thing is, and people will say counter to that and say, "Well, I'm not an investor, I'm not a collector, I'm a player," and I totally understand that shit. But, dude, I've been around from the era of Welcome to Wrath, right when it went from $100 to 300, and then after that, after all these market spikes, there's a good portion of time where I heard someone who traded a Welcome to Wrath sealed box for two legendaries from Welcome to Wrath. And I'm like, okay, you're telling me you have a 1 in 4 chance of opening a legendary from that box. Or you literally could get two of the legendaries from that box just automatically, 100% chance. So I was like, man, like, if I ever do this in the future, I just want to keep a lot of it sealed because
Well,
it's so good as trade fodder, you know?
mhm. Yeah, I really loved how you got a lore book, man. Like that to
Yeah.
me, when I found out about the lore book, I immediately went online like trying to find them and then found out that it's a super rare like exclusive item, which I really hope they mass print them. Like they make even if it's like one that's not as nice as
Hmm.
the hardcover, right? So it's not as collectible as the original. I would like to get my hands on a physical book with the lore because I like having physical reading material in front of me and it would just be such a delight to peruse through it here and there and just really dig into the game more.
Yeah, and the images on the book are just really good. I don't mean to brag, but like it's really nice in person. And I definitely think they're going to do it. I think now they're trying to just focus on gameplay a lot, and
Mhm.
that's probably why they're not like trying to produce that as well on the side. They're laser focused on that shit. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I think it's a huge like the lore itself. I'm not a lore guy like in other games. I don't really like that kind of stuff, but with Flesh and Blood, there's just so much hidden like meaning and depth behind stuff. Like the Eye of Ophidia, there's like a little
Mhm.
fish swimming in the background, and you're like,
I
oh, Eye of Ophidia's underwater. It just blows your
mhm.
mind, and you have all these different things like, oh, gambler's gloves. Like the gloves have a
the
little like
the
string
little
that
dice.
exactly. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's those little
Well,
hidden things.
and then you have Talisman of Dowsing with the whole like it's just got the secret message for kingdoms on it, and it's
Yep.
like that the foil price of that. That's to be honest with you, if anything that I'm hoping to get out of this box, if I do open it, would be that. Because I do have another box coming in, and I'm planning on buying more. So there's a part of me I haven't opened any first edition Monarch at all. So there's a
Uh-huh.
part of me that's like, do I open one box, like just see what I get, have the experience. I'm gonna wait until I have my unlimited first and then decide because I think after that it'll, I might not have the desire anymore and I can just sit on it and trade it for something that's worth more in the future.
Yeah, that's smart. There's definitely an experience thing to that. Like, I really wish I opened a Welcome to Wrath alpha. That would have been cool. But I've been through a bunch of box opening videos for that to notice, like, oh man, sometimes you just don't get any hits. But
Yeah.
just to say that, hey, I opened that box would be really legit. But yeah. So man, you started your channel. You started with Magic the Gathering Commander. I'm not a Commander player. I always thought it was really cool. I like the 100 card format and stuff, but why'd you name your channel like what's the meaning behind Sloopdoop? That verbiage. And yeah.
Um, it so there's nothing really special about it. I was playing Pokemon Gold on my 3DS a few years ago, and I'm still every once in a while I pick up the file. I still haven't like beaten it. I'm at Mount Silver, and I just haven't grinded up to be able to face Red yet. And I named the Cyndaquil Sloopdoop. I was just whenever I play Pokemon, I give them usually just silly names that are off the top of my head.
Hmm.
And then when Monster Hunter World had the beta for, because I love Monster Hunter. I don't know if you ever played it.
I've heard of
I
it.
absolutely, it's a game series I absolutely love. And when the World beta came out, I literally bought a PS4 just to play the game. And in the beginning, like the demo, there was pre-made characters, and I chose like the one blonde girl just because I thought she was cute. And I never played as a girl in games. I was always a dude, but I'm like, you know what? It's the beta, and I named her Sloopdoop. And ever since then, the name has just become like a nickname that I use in games and that I use for stuff. And so when I made the channel originally, I called it Sloopdoop MTG.
Hmm.
But then, very quickly I went back to just really not liking the game. I don't like the direction it's going. It just was making me unhappy, which is
Hmm.
why I'm selling so much of my Magic collection to buy Flesh and Blood because this game is just I think Flesh and Blood's better. I think at where it is right now, Flesh and Blood is more fun and it has a brighter future than Magic does.
And so, I've never played Commander, like I said, and I think it's always good to notice your perspective. And I
Mhm.
think that way back when I played Magic the Gathering, I have really fond memories of like doing odd jobs around the house and just in the community, like around like trying to get scrape by and get money just to buy bulk collections of Magic and just build like janky decks. And that was a lot of fun for me. But I never like competed or was competitive. So like with Commander, when you played it back in the day, how has it like evolved and changed? Is it really just the power creep, or
Um,
because that's what I
I
don't really understand. Like, what kind of went wrong, and how was it better in the past? You think?
So I think part of it is as you improve as a player, as you get better, you lose a lot of the casual aspect of it. So when you're really new, you don't know what you're doing. You play like the dumb, janky, big Timmy cards. You're running a big 7/7 with trample that can copy itself, and it's like when you get better, you realize like, oh, that's never gonna hit somebody. You're never gonna get it off. But
Yeah.
and so some of the magic is lost there as you get better, but then you get like the better, you start to improve, and so you have that as your kind of motivation of you get to play more powerful cards and your decks get better. And I had this phase where I was really into Commander. Like I really got into it, was building really strong decks, learned how to I sat down and like took the time to become a good player, good deck builder. Which was why it kind of feels crappy to play Flesh and Blood, and I'm absolute trash at it because I became really good building and playing Commander. Um, but I think the biggest thing for me was the past couple years. It went from being a non-rotating format where it just felt like you got to play all your old stuff and you got a couple new things here and there.
Hmm.
But now every single set, it's like 5 to 10 new cards for decks, and they're all so powerful, and everything is so pushed for Commander. And the price. For me, it was the price. Like people say Flesh and Blood's expensive. Dude, I had a deck in Commander that was worth about $3,000. Now, yeah, it was
Oh
blinged
my
out,
God.
and it was yeah. I've sold some of it, not all of it.
Were there any
But
cards in that deck that were just fucking crazy? Like, is it like one card was worth 1,000, or was it just a bunch of like
no,
hundred
it
fifty
was
dollar?
yeah, it was a lot of like $50 to $150 cards. Now some of them, I will admit, some of them are like expedition lands, like super foil premium stuff. But even the base staples, like you have things like Sylvan Library, Rhystic Study,
You're talking about the
why am
lottery
I
card lands?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you pimped the
The
shit out of
original
that.
lottery card lands, the ones that
Zendikar?
are actually rare. No, no, these are from oh yeah, yeah, sorry, Zendikar, but Battle for Zendikar when they were like one in every 3 boxes or so,
Dang.
not the new ones where it's like you get one a box or two a box or whatever collectors. So these ones are actually like very rare. and I still have about 3 of them. I'm probably gonna sell them eventually because again, I'm just into Flesh and Blood. I'd rather have like cold foils than have these expedition lands, but I haven't sold them yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some of the stuff that you need to play, or just a lot of the staples. You know, watching a card like Parallel Lives, it doubles whenever you make a token, it doubles them. I bought like 4 copies for like $2 a piece several years ago, and now it's like a $60 card just because they haven't reprinted it. Like
That's
Wizards likes to
insane.
hold off on reprinting cards, and everybody talks about Modern and even Legacy, but man, Commander really needs reprints bad because the format has exploded, and they haven't been on the ball. They want to keep
And that's just a
prices high, it
random
seems.
Majestic card? Sorry.
Hmm?
That one card you're talking that went from $2 to 60, that's just a random
It's a rare.
Majestic? A
It's just a
rare?
random. It's just a rare. It's a rare. Yeah. And
Wow.
there's been they literally just came out with a deck that was green and blue, and the card's green, and it dealt with tokens, and they didn't put it in the deck because the card. So I sold them. I sold them both for like, I don't know, I think 35, $40 a piece because I had
Jeez.
2 copies, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get some money out of them for people who want them. It's and they make, I think the thing that really made me upset was green is my favorite Magic color, and they have a set called Commander Collection Green, and it's all these Commander staples, and it's this nice premium foil thing, and they have another product called Spellbooks, and they are literally one more card than the Commander collections, right? So you get 9 cards instead of 8. The spellbooks are like 20 to 30 Canadian. They're about 30 Canadian. The spellbook collections were like $100. Or sorry, the Commander collections was about $100,
Hmm.
and it was like 300 for the foil version of it all. Like it was just the price of the game is insane. Like Modern Horizons 2 is I don't know, like 250, or sorry, $350 or so right now for like a regular box Canadian. It's
Oh,
just
wow.
it's insane. The prices of this game have just like of the product and the cards is just keep going up and up. And that's why I get a chuckle whenever anybody says Flesh and Blood's super expensive. It's like, yeah, okay, you spend a few hundred on, Fandal Spring Tunic, you buy it once, you never need to buy it again.
Yeah.
And the people who complain, it's like, okay, but are you going out and buying like 3 booster boxes? Because that money could have been the cards you needed, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think what people aren't understanding is they see like a pretty little tunic and they think that wow, this card is amazing and like I need this to play things. But honestly,
Mhm.
I think tunic isn't like that good to be honest. Like in constructed, I think it's really good or classic constructed because you know
Yeah.
the games are longer, you have 40 health. But in Blitz, man, I think what we're gonna see is a lot of decks where it's gonna be Wizard and Brute that just try to close out the game in 2 to 3 turns. Because the
Yeah.
faster you play the game, the faster you can like kill your opponent. Then Tunic doesn't do anything. Then it's literally like an Iron Rot equipment, and it didn't give you any resources if you kill your opponent in like 2 turns. You know, I know
Yeah.
that might sound crazy, but you know, Flesh and Blood has only had 4 sets so far. Can you imagine once it has 12 sets and all these
Oh yeah.
different like fucking crazy ass combos and where you can like pump out like 20 to 25 damage in a turn I think we're going to go into that era and then I think people are going to actually realize like I don't need this crazy expensive equipment to play. Like you can play, you know, one of my favorite combos is Hearten's cross straps and
Oh, I love
what
that
is it,
card.
Goliath gauntlets. And I'm playing a
Hmm.
brute deck now, right? If you think about it, Smash with Big Tree red, right? It
Yeah.
attacks for 7. So if your opponent attacks you with a bunch of stuff, right? And you only have Smash with Big Tree red in your hand, that's only card. Hardened Cross Draft, Glying Gauntlets, you're coming in for 9 with one card in your hand. So, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot more of these decks, and yeah,
Well, I mean, look at your favorite. Look at Bravo. He was the
yeah,
first one I built because I loved the art and I loved his, and I do enjoy playing him, but I think I like go wide decks a little bit more. Um, but those 2 cards are like they're amazing. Like even if you don't have the Tectonic Plating or the what is it, the Crater Fist,
hmm,
Goliath Gauntlet and Heart and Cross Straps are perfect. Like they're both good cards. You can get by without needing the legendary.
yep,
Um, and I think you'll find that with most. Like, yeah, the legendaries, what they do is they give you a tiny advantage
yep,
over the commons, right? And the commons give you like the commons with abilities give you a slight advantage over the Iron Rot, and then the legendary give you just a slight advantage over those. And because it's a game of attrition and tiny tempo plays and little advantage swings, it's very important and they are very good. But I think you hit the nail on the head with Tunic though. Like in Blitz, I was because when you mentioned Tunic, I was just gonna say just play Blitz. You know,
Yep.
it's turns. You know, you might get one resource off of it, and to be honest with you, I mean, if it's that or Iron Rot, then play the Tunic. But there's probably a lot better chess pieces to play out there. You know, for a
Yeah.
lot less than the Tunic. So
And it definitely does seem more of a I want to say intentional thing where the common cards are more aggro based and then the
mhm.
expensive cards are more control-y. And I do
Yeah.
admit, yeah, it seems like the expensive cards they do give you more health. I mean, the tectonic plating for sure. I mean, that's like one like it blocks for two, blocks for one. That's essentially three more health, which
Well, look
is,
at the skull
pretty
cap.
substantial. Oh yeah, the skull cap is insane too. If you have a skull cap, that blocks for, an extra three health too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like I have a Dash Ultimate Pit Fight deck that, I have all of my equipment blocks for zero. It's all common, but everything has abilities, and the deck it does well. Like because I built it around just putting pressure on each player on either side of you, and you kind of when you only deal like two or three a turn, and you just do a couple attacks to each. Nobody feels targeted, nobody feels singled out. You're kind of being fair, and then they don't typically go at you that hard. You don't have the clap back basically that you might if you play Bravo, for instance, or Viserai. Um, and it's fine. Like you don't need the legendary equipment, even to play competitively. Like if you're
Yeah.
going to the top leagues, let's be real. If you're competitive, you're willing to spend the money on this game. Like you're gonna be willing to do it. That's the kind of players playing this game. That was the point of my video a couple videos back that I talked about supply and as well as the fact that because this is geared towards older people, you're gonna have a lot more people with disposable incomes who are willing to spend $100 or $200 or $300 on a card that they really want.
Yep.
So that's why, but it seems like the prices are settling a bit. Seems like the market for TCGs is calming down. Let's hope Unlimited can be reasonably priced, and then the first edition can hold most of the value because, I'd like to get Command and Conquers for, maybe 40, 50, not 80, $90.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
nuts. Like that card in particular, I think that's the best card in the game power wise, I think in my mind. Because I
And
mean,
it's
if you
it's
yeah, what do you think?
yeah. Oh, I was gonna
You're
say, and
going to
I was
go on
just
a rant there. I saw it in your
well, no, I
eyes.
was just about to point out, like, and it's not even like that good. Like, it is the best card, but it's
Yeah.
not like it's you play it and the game's over. It's just it's an advantage swing and it's a significant one, but it's not so game breaking that you play it and it's like, okay, that was game.
Yeah. It does have so many good synergies. Like I really like the Ira one. That one is just dirty. I hate like with Kadachi and then CNC for 7. Oh,
Oh
it's
yeah.
so dirty. Because then you
Yeah. Speaking of
need
Ira,
equipment and then 2, 3. Yeah.
oh
Oh, you
no.
got it.
Yeah. Like I said, my box came with the 2018. I checked it too. Yeah, the
Wow.
2018 welcome deck, and I'm just gonna keep it sealed. I just think it's really cool to have one.
Oh yeah, that's a
So.
really cool thing. And what is it? I
Mhm.
got a plastic little case for that thing. It's cool. I just have it up.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna leave it on my shelf with all the other stuff.
Have you
But,
played the
display.
Ira deck even online? Like that's
I
a pretty
haven't.
cool thing. Like Ira versus Ira. It's a fun
Yeah, I've
match.
I've I've heard that is a very very it's the best format for teaching people how to play and learning how to play. And I hope that they really pump out more of these decks because of that though. Is to get new players in, give them a little deck to play. Especially if people are going to play Blitz. I mean, Ira's
Mm.
arguably the best Blitz, hero right now because we all know the memes of Kadachi for one, Kadachi for two. I actually faced my first Ira player on my very first Blitz event, and yeah, I was playing Dorinthia, and still very new. I barely know how to play, and my God, I got destroyed. Oh, the
Yeah,
pressure was intense.
yeah, because you don't know. Like, should I take this one and take this two? I mean,
Yeah, like I was lucky. I had the Arcanite Skull Cap and the Brave Forge Bracer, so I had some like ways to block that damage. But I feel like that's the deck to beat in Blitz is
yep.
Ira. So
And I think
yeah,
Dash is kind of a different type of Ira because if you can attack and then what is it? If you can block with a couple of your cards, right? 3 cards every turn,
Mhm.
and then you have 1 blue pitch as dash, you can shoot your pistol for 2. So if you think about it in the long run, you're attacking 2-2 instead of 1-2. So I always
Yeah.
thought that was going to be like a thing that
Well,
came around, but I guess people didn't like it because when they play dash, they like to set up with a bunch of those ones that I forgot the name of it, but the one card where it gets go again, so they can you know, shoot their pistol like 3 or 4 times. But
The induction chamber.
yeah, induction chamber,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I've got a few of those, yeah, in my deck. Like I run 3 in the ultimate pit fight deck because yeah, I decided to try it and try and use the pistol multiple times, and I found very quickly like, yeah, you only need 1 or 2 cards in hand and you can attack multiple times, and and especially when you get to low life or something like in Blitz, that 2 damage, sometimes if your opponent's at 2 or 3, they're forced to block
Yeah,
it. They can't take it, and they're blocking for 3 for an attack that's only 2, and that feels almost as bad as having to block a Kadachi for 1 because you're at 1.
exactly. Because it's a situation where you block or die. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's I think my favorite thing about this game is the amount of choices and decision making and thought process that goes into each and every turn. Like not just yours, but your opponent's. And
yeah.
it's never you just sitting there. Like in Magic, you'll just sometimes sit there and watch your opponent just dump half their deck onto the board. They just get a combo or they get so much advantage. Especially in Commander, you just sit there and watch somebody play out 15 things in a single turn as you're looking at a 2 card hand. You're like, well, this is, this sucks. Like there's nothing I can do. You don't have that in this game at
Like you
all.
were
Like
talking about
the
that cascade deck or something. That sounded fucking crazy. Where like things
Oh, the
cascade,
one.
cascade, 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 and there's like different counters and all these different
Mhm.
things. Yeah,
Oh, I think in one of my videos I mentioned Emoti. I guess is that what you're talking
I think
about?
so. Yeah.
One, yeah, yeah. I built the deck thinking it was going to be fun, and I took a 25-minute turn, and it took the 3 of us figuring out all the triggers, and we still missed some. And it was literally
25
like
minutes in one turn.
I literally had a stack. So the stack is kind of like the combat chain for people who don't play Magic. I had a
Hmm.
stack that was, I don't know, probably about 15 triggers. And I had to like, because they kept triggering off one another, and so you have to put the new one on, and then it goes, and then the next one, and it just, and then there was, oh, it was a mess. I won that game, obviously. I won that game pretty much that turn, but oh, it was a nightmare. I took the deck apart because I was like, it's just, that's another thing about Magic. It feels like they're trying to design cards that play better online than
Mm.
they do in paper because there's so much upkeep for some of these things, and it's just it gets to a point sometimes where it's like it's just not fun. Like some combinations where you have to like there's a commander I used to play, and there was a card called Cathar's Crusade
Mm.
where anytime a creature entered, all your creatures got a 1/1 counter, and the commander could remove a counter and make a token. But that means that every single time you make a token, this one will have 1 counter. You play another one. This one has 2, and this one has 1. You play another, then it's 3, 2, 1. And so every time you make a creature, you have to put an extra. Like you have to just lay out creatures. So you can't just make 50. And just have a little 50 dice with 50 counters. It's this one has 50, this one has 49, this one has 48, and it's too much upkeep. Like it's
Yeah.
powerful, but it's like I'm not gonna play it because it's just the amount of stuff on the board is just too much, and you don't have that with Flesh and Blood. I love how they limit you to 4 card hands or 3 if you're playing Data Doll. It's just I've never played a game this tight. Like just the gameplay is so perfected. It's beyond me how they came up with it and how they've designed this game. I am not at all big brained enough to design a game like this or even understand how to design a game like this.
Yeah, it really is impressive. And I mean, I was never good at making decks in the past with other TCGs, but with Flesh and Blood, I feel that whatever I put together, I can at least play. And what's great about it, Flesh and Blood is like even if you don't play, you put stuff together right, you don't die with like instantly. It's not like you put a deck together and you can't do anything. You can always do
Mm.
something. You might lose by 5 to 9 hit points, but at least you put something together. And I don't feel weird about like, oh, I'm gonna make, because I don't know, I like making janky decks. Like I made this physical Kano build, and Kurt from the Ravewind YouTube channel talked about it, and like I did it, and it actually performed good, and that hasn't happened to me in the past. Usually I make a jank deck, I play my friends,
Mhm.
and they completely like wreck the shit out of me. But I thought it's cool how you can like mix and match and do all these things, and I just can't believe with the design space they have currently, what it's going to look like in 3 years. It's just going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah, well, and with the talent system, I mean, there's gonna be so
Ah,
much
yeah.
that this game just has to offer, and mentors. Like there's just so much room for them to grow. And my favorite thing, I think, and I know I probably already said that, and I'm probably gonna say that again, but I really like how commons are actually usable.
Yeah.
Any common, you can take a generic whatever common, and it can pitch. if it doesn't do anything else. At the very like that the pitch system. I think that's where they really hit gold was the pitch system. Like the fact that every card is a resource is just it gives everything a use, and it's just it's so good because you never have a hand that you look at and go, I absolutely can't do anything unless your opponent's ripped like 3 or 4 cards out of it. Then
Yeah.
then you might be in that situation, but it just I really enjoy that because it sucks when you're playing a game, any game really, and you're watching. Yu-Gi-Oh is also really bad for this. You watch the opponent go off for 15 minutes. They set up like 4 or 5 negates, and you're just like, well, I can't play through that. That was fun. That was you played for 20
Yeah,
minutes and now the
GG.
game's over. And Magic again, Commander's kind of getting to that point sometimes too. So it's just the fact that you literally cannot do that in this game. Like they have the restrictions. They say you each get a fair amount of resource. You can't really get, even something like Toma Fiendal. I actually have 3 alpha copies over there. I bought for $500. Your video
Wow.
about alpha commons. I went out and bought a bunch of commons and some rares and majestics. And I got the Toma Fiendals because that was my first foil majestic I ever pulled in Unlimited. So I just really like the card. And
It's
you
powerful.
can't like
I think it's one of the
it's powerful.
powerful cards.
I think it's gonna take I think it's gonna take a hero that can utilize it better than heroes like Dash or Kano already can.
Yeah.
Like if we get a hero that can just really use those actions, those generic actions, and give it go again some way, like if the hero just has that ability or something, I think the price will go up. It'll be more playable. But I literally built a Kano deck so I could play because I pulled 3 of them in Unlimited, and I built a Kano deck just so I could play it. And then I realized that with what was it? I think High Octane giving extra action points in Dash. I was like, oh, I could play it in Dash, so I threw it in there instead. But the fact that it uses your action point, like you have to work around the ability to just because you draw 2 cards and then gain some life, and then what you end your turn, like wow, you're gonna draw at the end anyway.
Yeah,
So
right.
oh, that was useful. You basically at best maybe you Sigil of Solace thread, you
Yeah.
gain 3 life. So, but the fact that if you can work around that restriction, it's super powerful. Like drawing 2 cards, gaining a few life if you arsenaled it, which you're probably going to arsenal it, and the fact that it pitches for 2, right? Like it's just
Mhm.
everything about the card just is so it's powerful but balanced, and that is something that I think is very hard to do in trading card games. And Flesh and Blood, Legend Story Studios has just hit it out of the park. Like it is the best design game I've ever played, and I think that's the biggest reason why this game is going to be successful. I am confident I will still be playing this in 10 years.
Oh, same. And I think that what you said about the resource system, it is the default like generic answer to when people say, "Oh, well, what does it bring to the table?" But honestly, it's just so refreshing because like not getting mana screwed, it's just so refreshing. You never feel like you don't have a good hand, and if you don't have a good hand, you just block with your shit and you just draw up again. And if you do have a good hand, then take the hit points and damage and
Yeah.
then do your thing. I mean,
Hmm.
it's so fair, like you said, and the commons are what really drew me to like wanting to get a bunch of those because man, like when I started looking at the cards and I went over Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising when I first got into the game, and I just looked at like how well like the cards were balanced, and I looked at the commons and it seems like the commons are good generically, but then the majestics and super rares are more risk reward. Like you're going to
Hmm.
incur more risk, or you might have to be in a certain situation to use a certain effect that gets you a little bit more like a really good advantage. But
Hmm.
if you have those cards and you're not in a good situation, then you're kind of boned. And I mean, Smash with Big Tree, it can't block at all. So it's like you have to attack. Does it have 7, power or whatever? Can it attack for 7? Of course, but and it looks like it really is a bunch of trade-offs, and the higher rarity cards are ones that are good, but you just have to use them like appropriately. But the
Yeah.
the commons you can just use whenever. So it's just
Well,
beautiful, man.
yeah. Well, and one of the things I actually really like about Prism, for instance, is she gives use to what was it? I've seen decks running Raging Onslaught. It's just like a
Hmm.
random, it's got 6 attack, I think is yellow pitch. So I've even seen some people running a couple copies of it because it's like they need yellow pitch. And also it blocks the phantasm. So it's like that's like even something like Prism just adds more
Yeah.
value to certain cards because and now it blocks the phantasm. And I when I saw like something, even just something as small, it's a very small thing, but just the attention to detail
Yep.
that they have put into this game is so refreshing. Because going back to like Command and Conquer, right?
Hmm.
If Wizards of the Coast designed that card, it would have Go Again. I guarantee you. And it would be a yellow pitch, right? Because they'd be like, this card needs to be pushed, it needs to be powerful, it needs to break the game. Legend Story Studio has it right.
I
Have a card be
disagree.
powerful.
I
No?
disagree. It would
Oh.
have Go Again and Dominate.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Go again, dominate, can't block with defense reactions.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't block with equipment either. It's basically
Nope.
just a screw you card. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy how it all is. And man, like, I think I lost my train of thought, but I know I was gonna say something about how things balance. But oh yeah, the decks. Have you seen this shit? Like, I think you got some decks, right?
I
This
have
is a
opened
good
all of them.
product.
Oh, it's an
I'm
amazing
I'm
product.
loving this shit. Like I love how they like even give you stuff that's like you can collect too. That's only in this product is perfect because
Hmm.
just to see the product design as well. No, I was just blown away. And not only that, but man, this is like half the size of the one before because the decks are like well, I guess it's maybe 2/3 the size, but oh, it's
Hmm.
just brilliant. Just to seeing the quality of product that they're doing, man. It's just
Yeah.
it's really cool. And I
Yeah.
remember one of your really funny videos where you ranted about the conductor, the collector. I really
Vampire
like that
Thunder
one.
Conductor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that actually made me. Well, I think because like this was actually the first year I haven't bought a single commander deck for since like 2014. I have bought at least one or two, usually three or three sometimes, of the commander decks that come out. I didn't buy any of them, and seeing the face card of a product, right? So for anybody who doesn't know, there was a red blue commander that came out in Strixhaven, and it was in the commander products. It was the face card. It was Zephi Thunder Conductor, but in his own text box, he refers to himself as the Thunder Collector instead of Conductor. And I got so mad about that because, like, how do you? It's the face card. It is the card on in the packaging. It's the
Yeah.
first thing people see,
Like
and
when you're going to Target,
how
Walmart,
like
that's what you see.
and they also they had issues I saw on Reddit, like people getting the commander boxes and the wrong like deck was put in the like it said like, oh, it's this what is it, like the Silver Quill one, but then it had like the Prismari commander as the face card kind of thing, like it was because they printed the card on instead of giving you the oversized one like they used to.
Hmm.
But it's just like the quality control dropped through the floor. I know people complain about like printing issues with Flesh and Blood, right? But it's like, well, that's just all TCGs because printers are going burr right now. Like the quality control is a bit down, but Magicus is just beyond any other game, like how bad it is.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I loved it as a kid, and I love all my old sets. Honestly, I'm keeping a lot of my old like the vintage cards because if you watch Rudy for a bit of time, you get nostalgic about those cards. You're like, wow, this is the beginnings of Magic the Gathering, and I've got a couple of what is it different collections like Fallen Empires complete set and
Hmm. That's
what is
pretty
it,
sweet.
yeah, Mirage complete set, except I don't have that one Lion's Eye Diamond, but just having those sets is really nice. But the new stuff, and I like what your point, and I don't want to shit on Magic too much because I love the game. It's just I don't want to feel like a fucking like idiot, and they're just taking advantage, and that's what it just feels like. And I think a lot of people in
I
Flesh and Blood are that way, and I know you ranted a lot about it too, and a whole and it's that type of sentiment where you just don't want to feel like a sucker, and
That's
that's
that. I
fine.
was gonna say that was my point in one of my videos. Is it wasn't about people say vote with your wallet, and it's like, well, there's enough Timmies out there who are gonna buy up this product. Like I said, Modern Horizons 2 is like 300 something Canadian.
Yeah.
It's gonna sell out. People are gonna buy it up. It's gonna sell fine, and they're just gonna keep raising the price, and people are gonna keep buying it. And I just don't want to be a sucker anymore. Like that's
Yeah.
actually the phrase I used. Is like I feel like buying this stuff, the way they're treating the player base is absurd.
And
And
that's MSRP, right? That's not.
yeah, that's MSRP. That's what they're selling. Well,
That's
they don't have
ridiculous.
MSRP, so they can have Amazon upsell the price, and then local game stores and distributors do too.
Yeah.
Um, it's yeah, it's a mess right now, that game, honestly. And I get heated and so passionate about it because I played the game for 10 years and I was
Yeah.
huge into it. Like I said, I had a deck that was worth $3,000, right? Like I put time and money into this game, and to see it treated this way, I'm just glad that Flesh and Blood exists and that I gave it a look. You know, because literally within
Yeah,
like
same.
20 minutes of looking up the game, I was like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm getting into this game. I'm buying a box. I bought a box of Welcome to Wraith, and it's been, 10 boxes later, Blitz decks and a bunch of other stuff that I've bought off like the Discord and that. It's been a hell of a ride, but I have loved every second of it.
Oh yeah, it's just yeah, and I was the same way, and I don't know if things would have happened differently with the whole like butterfly effect and shit, but like I remember one pinnacle moment was Brian from Tulare Community College. He had a video about the Walking Dead and all that stuff, and I know a lot of people were pissed off at that era too, but just the pain and the anguish in his voice, it was just so like impactful. And at the end, he's like, I guess this is it. I guess this is what we're doing. But
That's
yeah,
yeah, that's exactly. I remember watching it because I've the professor is one of those YouTubers I've been watching since like I really started to get into Magic. So like I have so much nostalgia for watching his old like modern deck techs from like 5 years ago. Like and just I remember how joyful every one of his videos was and how it made me really happy to see like just everybody was in such a good mood. But now the community is miserable. Like people are just, for the most part, just it's misery because everybody's so unhappy with the way that Wizards is handling the
mm.
game. And
Well,
I felt the exact same way about The Walking Dead. Like it just, I've been saying, well, just among friends and that for a while, that Magic, the phrase "Magic is dead" gets thrown around a lot, right? Like it's kind of a meme in that community. But I think that's actually true. It's not that Magic the game is dead. It's that the spirit of Magic is dead. Like
mm.
Magic still exists. It's just not the game people fell in love with anymore. It's a totally different thing now.
Do you think it's the whole aspect of social media and all that? There's inner working psychology around all that bullshit, and I really, you bring up some really fucking good points in a lot of your videos with the social media, with like Twitter and Facebook, and how things are geared towards making you emotionally and hot and bothered, and it makes you think in like different thought patterns, and it seems like if the community is feeling that way and the marketing is kind of trying to poke you that way, then maybe it's geared. And I think honestly that they are smart in marketing. And look at their profits as a company. They're being a badass, but ultimately it looks like they're doing it at this direction with the whole social media aspect. And I mean, what do you think about that? I
Um,
love your rants on that, man. They're beautiful.
Yeah, I I've really started social media is one of those things that I actually quit for a couple years. Like I didn't YouTube was like I watched YouTube videos, maybe occasionally left a small comment here or there, but I really like I stopped using Facebook. I used to use Twitter, and I realized one day it made me angry every time I went on. And even seeing people that I watched on YouTube, like it made me dislike them because like sometimes they would share an opinion that I just didn't agree with. And it was just the whole atmosphere of being on Twitter, I think, that made me more angry about what I was seeing than it was, reasonable or rational. And I think it's a thing that people really need to talk more about because, in my video when I talked about For Flesh and Blood,
Mm.
I think it's incredibly important to be aware of the power of these social media sites and the algorithms and what they do to your brain because I don't want to see this community get so divided like the Magic community is because it's awful, man. It's really awful. Politics is everywhere. I mean, I don't know about right now, but go back like 6 months and it was just
Oh, it's
miserable
just
to
everywhere.
see anything online. Yeah, like people just constantly talking about politics or like there was all these like social political issues being talked about and just for me it's like I just for the most part I just want to talk about the game. Like I just want to play the game. I don't really, I will talk about other stuff, but it got this atmosphere of if you're not, if you don't think like us, you get out kind of thing. And it
Yeah.
was it was both sides. It was all sides. It was everybody just, nobody wanted to talk to anybody who disagreed with them. And it was, it really put me off from the game for a little while. And I do think yeah, I don't know actually if Wizards is using social media for their marketing that way. I think Wizards is really bad at their social media presence.
Mm.
Because I think they just don't care so much about the community. Um, But maybe they know that anger helps share things, and maybe that's why when they make a mistake, they just kind of leave it because they realize like people are like The Walking Dead, people are
Yep.
talking about it, so it's um
Well, I mean, maybe they're taking a page out of Rudy's handbook. I mean, negativity
maybe,
breeds, not popularity, but just more, people coming to you and trying to
yeah,
figure out what you're about.
or there's
But
no negative press,
yeah,
or there's no bad press, I think is what the
yeah, yeah.
phrase
There's no
is.
bad press.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I agree with you though. When people, I think it's a pretty common thing I found. People will think about like what you said with like the marketing divisions of certain companies, or even with like the people who work in Silicon Valley, like these big tech companies with their algorithms and that is, you got to give the devil their due. These people that are
Mm.
behind these big companies, they're a lot smarter than you or me.
Yep.
Like these people are way smarter than you or I, right? Like they're in these positions because they are intelligent. And to act like they don't know what they're doing all the time, or that there's, like again with social media, like it's a lot of people who work in these big companies don't let their children use social media because they know what it does to children's brains. They know how it affects the dopamine and the addiction behind it, and just how much it warps people's brains. So they don't let their kids use social media. And I feel like if you want to combat it, you have to give the devil his due. You got to admit that they're smart, and so you can view it from a perspective of, okay, I'm up against a Goliath. Like, what can I do to protect myself?
Yeah.
Because if you just think that everybody's stupid, you're never going to protect yourself, and then you're going to be susceptible to whatever manipulation they want to do on you. And I think this goes for anything. People say that like certain world leaders, or politicians you don't like, and they go, well, they're just an idiot. And it's like, okay, well, if they're just an idiot, what does that say about you? Because they're leading a province or a country or whatever. So if they're stupid, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and there's so
Again, I
much of the
think.
brain that we just don't fucking understand, and like
Oh yeah.
mental health and all that shit. But to that point is, I think when you have something like smoking, where that's an addiction, right? It's easy to see the smoke coming out of someone's lungs, and
Hmm.
it's easy to see on a freaking chart from a doctor that this guy has a black lung. But with Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff, there's no real like, oh, look at this guy's brain like month over month, and like this was before and this is after. That there's
Yeah.
no change or physically, like we can't see it. So I think when we think about like, oh, what's wrong with Twitter? It's a nice little birdie, and it has a nice interface. We don't really understand the whole impact with all that. And I think in a couple of rant videos you have, you really explain it well. And I like how you you like go to town on shit, but then like you say it in a respectful way. We're like, hey, I'm just trying to learn too, but this is how I think. So
Yeah, I used to be the cocky like 17 to 19-year-old, 20-year-old even, where I was like, "Oh man, I'm so much smarter than other people. I'm so, I'm so big-brained intelligent." And then and I even if you and I used to tell myself that no, I don't think that. But now that I'm like 25 and I've experienced life a bit more, I've really made some mistakes and learned and grown. Looking back, it's like, man, I was such an idiot. Like, why did I think that? And I think that's
I
just
bet
part of
that.
growing up. You realize you really don't understand anything. And once you really know that, and you talked about this in your recent video where, who was it again? Was it Socrates, I think, who was infamous for
Bruce
saying that
Lee.
he
Oh,
didn't.
Socrates. Yeah, yeah. He said
Yeah,
like, I don't know things, and he just
yeah.
questioned everything.
Like if you can admit that you don't know something, you are then that much closer to finding out the truth and to
Mm.
finding out, what is true. And I've really kind of taken that on as a life philosophy. Like I want to learn. I will assume that I don't know anything, and so or that I could be wrong. I like to keep myself open because I genuinely want to improve and become, more intelligent and more world wise. Like I want to be better.
Yeah.
So you have to be open to mistakes, and I think that's what a lot of people like about Rudy from Alpha Investments. A lot of
Yep.
people say, oh, he's just this dumb investor, but it's like, no, the guy is smart, the guy is successful, and he's got a lot of good life advice that it's helped me personally. Same
Oh
with people
yeah.
like Jordan Peterson. Like I've really, reading and watching videos from people that have a story to tell and have a bit of advice to give, I've learned a lot. And I think that's one of the best things about the internet, and even about things like what we're doing, like watching your videos. It's cool to hear somebody who has similar opinions and kind of a worldview that I do, but also differences and things that I can learn from watching your videos. Like I like that a lot. I really like your channel. Actually, you're probably my favorite Flesh and Blood creator so far. That's why I was so stoked that you wanted to do this.
Yeah, man, I was happy you wanted to do it too. And I think if anyone asked me at this point, like, hey, I like you, Bronson, I want to listen to somebody else in the Flesh and Blood community that's like most like you, I would say it's you, man. And I love it. And
Oh,
and
I
it's
appreciate
nice
that.
because, man, when I make content, I want to make content that like I would want to watch, and you're probably the same way. And
Mhm.
like it's nice to have you in the community now because when I watch your shit, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. You know, like this really appeals to me, like your type of ranting and stuff. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
man.
I like watching like again people like Alpha Investment. Some of my favorite videos are ones that I can just play the 15 to 20 minute videos. I can just play in the background while I play Monster Hunter or I do dishes or cook or something, you know.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the type of video I wanted to make was something that people can just you can just play in the background. You don't even have to watch it. You just listen to it and you learn something, you know, maybe you learn something or you get entertained for a little bit while you're doing something else. Um you know, and that is still I think going to be the main focus of the channel. Obviously, I have that song that I made, you know, investors. Um, but
yeah,
one sec,
man. Like Rudy gets a lot of shit, but he honestly, there's some shit he says that are just so it's just so true. You know, it's like you'd read it out of like a philosophy book or some type of textbook to where it's general information that really just makes you a better person or
Mhm.
puts you in a certain mindset that's better because I think that ultimately human beings are hardwired wrong in a way because when you see the stock market, right? When everything's going up, you want to invest. But when everything's going down, you want to get out.
Oh,
But that type of emotional bullshit is what holds back so many people because you know that's basically buying high and selling low. But what you have to do is when you see things are tanking, when you see things are like going to shit, as long as things, I think there's a good term. It's called going concern, right? Going concern in business, you probably know. It's like, will this business last? You know, the test of time, and will they, you know, not go bankrupt? As long as whatever you're investing in, or not financial advice, obviously, whatever you're putting your money into, as long as you know it's going to last for a long period of time, it'll probably go up eventually after that. So,
oh
you know,
yeah.
buying low and selling high. Hot take from Bronson here.
You know what?
but
Honestly,
you know what I mean? Like we're hardwired to do the opposite, but he basically gives us a lot of like really cool information to where it's hey, you're hardwired this way, but here's a different way of looking at life. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I think a part of it too is you see people buying and the price go up, and everybody because we're social animals, right? So we
Yep.
just follow what everybody else is doing. So that's where that swing goes. But yeah, Rudy's advice. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The fact that the Flesh and Blood market's getting soft, I am planning on like I really like the pre-release promos from Monarch, and people are selling them for like 40, 45 Canadian for the pair of them, and I'm like, you know, and I actually
That's
just made a video. I released it
pretty
before we
really
did this
$45.
conversation for two of them. Yeah, for the pair.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and for me, it's like it's so I bought one because I didn't get in on the pre-release. I got into the game just a little too late to actually get like a spot for anywhere.
Hmm.
And I like I'm gonna be honest with you. I just made a video talking about nostalgia in card games. It was like a 10-minute thing, and
Hmm.
saying how I genuinely feel Monarch is going to be Flesh and Blood's like big nostalgia set because this is where the first big boom
I
into the game is,
totally
like the
agree.
big influx. You've got the Blitz decks that are bringing people in. Like Monarch is going to have nostalgia. And I'm if I can get more of these promos for like 20 bucks a piece and like the pair for 40 or 45, man, even 50, I think they're gonna go up. And I like the idea of picking up some cards and picking up a little bit of sealed product. Not like I'm not gonna hoard pallets and I'm
Oh
not gonna
yeah.
be a flipper or a scalper. I want to leave product for other people. But you know, everybody's selling cards right now because they see the market going down. They're like, oh, we gotta sell it. It's like so now I'm turning around and be like, okay, I gotta sell my magic cards so I can buy more flesh and blood cards because I want to have more of this stuff because I think it's going to go up and I would like to have some leverage for trades in the future
Yep.
or, you know, hey, if I got some sealed boxes of Monarch 10 years down the line and they're worth several $1,000s by then, you know, who knows what I'm going to sell it for? Maybe I need a car and I sell a couple of them for a nice used vehicle or something, you know.
That'd be
I
badass.
don't know.
You could,
Yeah.
man. Did you see there's this one trade on Facebook that said, "Hey, I'm trying to sell my Welcome to Wrath Alpha box for a 2016 like Tacoma or something." And it was I
Yeah, it
think it
was
was real, dude. I mean,
yeah. It's crazy, and I think more people are waking up to that. And I
Yeah.
have to be honest. You know, you see, like people hate Rudy from Alpha Investments. I'm going to go back to him for a second, and I think a part of it is because people don't like seeing somebody who is successful and has done something that they have themselves missed out on. Like
Yeah.
he has so much. Like if you were in his position, if you would have had the foresight to pick up all those reserve list cards, you probably wouldn't be nearly as upset with them,
Oh yeah.
you know. And I think you're going to see that with Flesh and Blood. Like again, I'm not looking to scalp product or buy hundreds of pallets of stuff or anything, but I am going to hold some sealed product. I am going to buy cool cold foil promos and cards that I like that are cheap right now because everybody's selling.
Yep.
And then a few years from now when they're worth a lot, if I have some extras, I can trade them, I can sell them, I can, you know, and I don't see anything wrong with that, you know.
There's
For me,
nothing wrong with that. And
even long-term investing like Rudy, I
mhm.
think that's perfectly fine. I just don't like the scalpers who intentionally buy a bunch of product, wait for it to go up in the short term, and then sell it for, you know, way higher than MSRP because
Yeah.
that feels kind of scummy, especially ones who don't play the game. If you play the game and you like to collect and then you want to sell some of that collection later, that's perfectly fine.
And the perfect thing about those cards, right, is they're common. They're fucking common. So you could literally buy those cards in common form and they're like
Mhm.
25 cents each. So it's not like you're impeding anyone on playing the game. And honestly, it's I don't know. I just think there's a lot of different ways that you can spend your money to cater to collectors in the long run and build your collection that way. So I don't think that's bad. But I totally agree, man. Like if you know that like there's going to be a really hot card and you literally have the funds to literally buy out every single card as it hits the market and then just set a floor price of like $50, say, hey, this $10 card is now $50. Oh, you want to undercut me? I'll buy that out from you. And I'll like if you want to buy this card, it's $50. That's when it's kind of like it's kind of
Mhm.
weird, but
Yeah, the you know, reserve list buyouts and that in Magic, yeah. It's you'll see a card that's
yep.
like I actually hopped on. I managed to get a card called Debt of Loyalty. I bought it for like $16 and within like a few days it had like doubled in price and I was like, well, good thing I got it because
That's
I saw the
crazy.
card and I found out it was reserve list and it's like one where like when a creature's gonna die, you can regenerate it and if you do, you get to actually take control of it. So
Mhm.
it actually even if an opponent's creature is gonna die, you can steal it. And I was like, that's actually playable in Commander. Like that's actually a pretty decent card. Like that's kind of an interesting, cool card. And seeing it was a reserved list, and I saw somebody talk about it, so I bought a copy. And then yeah, like it's probably worth even more than it was because you know. But and I also own a Wheel of Fortune, which is also a reserved list card. And I think a lot of people just again they get upset when they've missed out on something that they now can't get in because the prices are too high.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think
and that's
that
kind of
honestly, we've probably already seen that in Flesh and Blood. I think people
mhm,
just, if they're really angry, I think there is a good portion of them who are just like they missed the train and
yeah.
now they're pissed off. And I totally see that, man. And like I felt that way in the past a little bit. You have to check your emotions, but like I wish I was just in the game just like a month before. Cause like I was thinking of buying a Welcome to Wrath booster box for like $150 or 200, 300. I just didn't push the trigger. And then I was like, oh man, I wish I just had the
Mhm,
foresight to like,
yeah.
get into this game a little bit sooner. But ultimately, I'm very happy with the collection I have and,
Oh yeah.
everything like that. But, I think everyone could feel that. But it's the people who are like, I'm not playing this game because of this, because I missed the
Mhm.
train. It's like, dude, there's another train coming. There's so many great
Monarch.
opportunities. Yeah.
I think Monarch is the next like I know like the first three sets or the first edition, but I think people are just really not realizing they're looking at the short term and I
Yep.
it's you know
It's a
for as
long
much as
game.
people like to say Flesh and Blood is a game of investors, I don't think so
It's
because
not.
everybody's selling off all their stuff and it's like guys like yeah the market's soft right now, but I mean hey it gives me an opportunity to buy in,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
I
and
mean the thing is oh no you go.
what's great too is for people who say I'm a player, I don't like this investing, collecting stuff in the prize support, dude. Like it's the best for the players because when you go to these events, right? Like there's an event over the weekend coming up that I might go to, and the top 8 players get a cold foil young hero. That I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
how much that card is. It's definitely worth what 2 to 500, 6.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the price, but I know it's a couple $100. But think about it, like that's what gets people into the store. Like if that card was only worth like $5 to $10, I don't think because I have to drive like an hour away to get to that game store. I don't think I would go. Like, you know, sadly enough. But and I talked to this one guy when I was playing in a skirmish event, and he came from Star Wars Destiny, and he said that, you know, that game fizzled out, and he said, yeah, man, I'm loving this. I love how everything's collectible and a lot of money. And I was like, oh, why, man? Like, I know you play the game a lot. He said, oh, dude, like if you don't have good prize support, you just don't have the turnout at any of these, you know, events, because people don't want to come to an event and then they got top price and only win $30 for like a $15 entry fee. Like,
Yeah.
not at all. And what's great too about Flesh and Blood is like, I went to a pre-release event. I went to 3 of them, right? And I got like a, you know, a playmat. I was really lucky. I got the
Nice.
Celestial Cataclysm. But every round, right after, they like chose a random person to get a playmat, and I'm just looking at it like, oh, look, there's another $200 winner. Oh, $200 win over there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting. People want like LSS to make their own official playmats, and I don't know if they're going to be honest. I think the way they're doing it with being an incentive to go and join events, I think that's actually kind of smarter.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, maybe they'll, I don't know, maybe they'll open up and have like some like have playmats, but they won't be the same art of like the specific, you know, pre-release or event ones. But I kind of like how they make play because like you can get a play. Yeah, I know everybody wants an official Flesh and Blood one, but you know, I've got like 4 or 5 playmats that I've just bought over the years. You know,
Yeah.
I've bought a couple from one from like Game Nights, Magic content creators, and then I've got one from Therese Nielsen that's signed, and it's my favorite one, the Lotus
Oh,
Cobra.
nice.
And you know, you can get playmats. You don't need them to play the game. So I kind of dig that they're used as like an event prize and that they're worth something because of that.
Yeah.
I think they've really nailed the collectability. Like first edition, that's for collectors. Unlimited, you know, now right now the prices of some unlimited stuff is high, but again, in my video I made a couple days ago, I think it's a more a supply and demand issue right now, and that people are willing to spend. Once the market calms down, once more unlimited gets out there and stores can open up more unlimited to have more available to sell, I think you'll start to see some of these unlimited prices go down to a more reasonable amount. At least I hope, because I would like unlimited to be affordable and playable, so that way first edition holds all the value, and
Yeah.
then players can play. Because that's another thing, like you said, if you win a cold foil young hero and it's worth a couple $100, not only is that just a cool prize, if you're just interested in playing and you don't care about the collecting of the game, which I think we all do, we all like our nice shiny cards. Let's
Oh,
be
yeah.
real, let's be honest. That's why people are really upset, because they can't afford the nice shiny cards,
Yep.
and that's fair. But if you really are just playing, you can sell or trade that foil promo that you won for a few playable cards. You can get
Yep.
yourself a couple Command and Conquers that you need for your Blitz deck. Boom, there you go. You won something that ended up improving your deck, and then you have a better chance of winning the next time.
Yep.
So, and yeah, like I never joined events really, because I've never, for Magic, I mean, at one point they literally, their F&M promos, they're like, here's a foil token. And it's like, I've literally painted my own tokens. I have a whole bunch of tokens I made myself. Like, you know, so it's like that's not a prize. That's not an incentive to go and play. But these cold foil promos and even just skirmish events, the chance of getting even just any promo just for playing. I joined one. I've got one on the 12th of June because I
Nice.
was just like, well, it's a free. Even if I don't do that well, which chances are, I mean, I've barely played. Like I haven't had a ton of time to play Blitz much. I know we're gonna play some games after, which I'm excited for.
Oh, yeah.
Excited to get my ass handed to me. That's gonna be fun.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but I just the fact that I can get something for playing, it's like, you know what? This game is cool enough. I'm gonna do it. Like I can, even if it's just a rainbow foil promo. Again, 5 years from now, those promos, because again, the game is so small. Like people
It's
think
so
it's big, but it's
small.
tiny. So like this is what I mean about the Monarch pre-release promos, right? It seems like there's a lot in the market right now, but when the game is like 5 to 10 times as big in 5 to 10 years, those are not gonna there's not gonna be very many of those going around in comparison to the amount of players. And again, because Monarch's gonna have so much nostalgia around it, I feel it's really going to it's gonna drive prices of some of these Monarch cards way through the roof.
Oh, yeah. And to put numbers to that, I mean, let's say conservatively 10,000 people are in the sphere of Flesh and Blood at
Mhm.
this time. I don't know if that's true or false, but it's definitely in like below 20,000 most likely. And it's like, if you take that number and multiply it by 5 or 10,000, you're still talking about 50 1,000 people or to
Yeah.
100,000. That's not that's like a very small amount compared to
Hmm.
other TCGs. Like you look at the the Dragon Ball Z one and all the other ones.
Yeah.
I fished around on the Reddits, and it's just eye-opening, really. It's just like, whoa, holy shit, this game is just still, growing, and it's really small. And yeah, man, I think too, the big problem with the playing of it is that, like, the player base is obviously adult. And you and I, we have 40 and we work 40-hour a week jobs on the side. We have other things in our life. It's hard to just put aside time. But
Hmm.
honestly, this could really, the more I think about it, man, the college crowd could really eat this shit up. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of a lot of your 18 to 22-year-olds, yeah.
But I don't see too many, right? Like when you look at your analytics, it's usually what, in the 20 to 30 range, right?
Yeah, it's like 25 to 35 or so is I think my highest amount. People around my age. I'm 25, so I'm on like the younger end of that spectrum.
Hmm.
But I think a big part is because the game is a little more expensive right now that or at least
Yeah,
with the first edition it's more expensive.
that's fair.
So people, the college students just can't afford to really play. At least
Yeah,
can't play the same cards that everybody else is. Although again, you don't need the legendaries. You don't need all these expensive
you
cards.
really don't.
You need to be good at the game in order to win. Truly, like I want to see some really good player take like an all common or like a sub super deck. So it's like all common and rares and just dominate an event with it. Like maybe
Yeah.
not like a high tier event, but like some skirmish events or even just some like some bigger event and just do really well, even just top 8 or something, to show that you can be, the way that you play is more important than what you're playing.
And that's going to be groundbreaking once that happens. And honestly, I've been trying to make some like budget, like janky decks
Hmm.
that are actually powerful. And I really want to, compete with those, because if you do win with that kind of deck, and especially me as a self proclaimed collector, I mean, that's huge news. I mean, it's like, oh, wait, this guy, Bronson, who's a collector, wins a tournament with a common and rare deck. Like, I mean, I think it's possible. I think it's definitely going to happen in the next year. I mean, with all the different events
Oh
coming
yeah.
up, I mean, it's got to happen.
Like I'm not good enough with deck building, at least not to my own standards, that I haven't really gotten to it. But I think as I'm improving slightly with deck building, I really want to do Ultimate Pit Fight sub super decks.
That would be cool.
Budget sub super, because I feel like that's a good format too for people who just want to play some games with their friends but don't want to buy all the expensive stuff. It's like, okay, here is a dirt cheap like $30 deck, or probably even less if it's just commons and rares, right? Like those cards are really cheap.
Oh yeah,
And once Crucible Unlimited comes out too, that's the big one, because some of the commons in that, like I only have one out for Blood Red for Dorinthia because it was like $6 and I can only find one copy in any store because
that's nuts.
there's not a whole lot of Crucible out there. But once Crucible Unlimited comes out, yeah, I really want to do some sub super decks because I feel like that's a good way for people to get into the game. And then
Hmm.
they can pick and choose certain majestics and super rares or even legendary equipment if they pull one, for instance. They can incorporate those into the decks. But I do think this game, like budget wise, is going to be a very powerful aspect of the game.
Yep. And I think it was like 2 months ago when I was started competing in skirmishes. I made this one deck called Merca, and it was Bravo, and it was just, you have reds and blues, and you use reds and blues anyways with Bravo. I think you could put like a Remembrance in your deck to make it a little bit better,
Mhm.
and a couple other ones, but yeah, there's just so much design space for that with just or deck building where you could just use janky stuff, commons and rares, and do really
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah, I just
yeah.
for me, I just feel like I don't understand the fundamentals of deck building just yet. I've watched some videos and I want to learn more, but it's just going to take time and practice. It's just, again, like you said, I'm working 45 plus hours a week and it's physical labor.
That's
So just
nuts.
my time and energy is very minimal. There's a lot of days that I don't have the mental capacity.
And you're
But
moving wood, right? You're doing like some really, like,
it's
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 like a
pretty
lumber
that's
kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah, I work with lumber. I run a couple saws. It's I'm not gonna go say
Yeah, yeah.
exactly what I do because there's what we build is there's only a couple places in the area that I live, so it might kind of easily narrow down where I live, and I feel like I'd like to have some anonymity. Um,
I feel that.
but yeah, but yeah, I really just I want to help people get into this game more. That's why I've put out a few beginners videos, like even just as simple as explaining the difference between first edition and unlimited, because it's a question I see asked, and it's like, well, here's a quick, 4.5 minute video that people can watch or reference to. And I want to do more of that, but it's coming up with the idea and then figuring out how you want to phrase it and what specific things to focus on.
Honestly, those types of videos are, I think, the most underrated types of videos out there. And I talked to Kel from Red Zone Rogue, and he had this buzzword for it. It's called like evergreen. I'm not sure if you remember
Yep.
that, but
Yep.
it's just such a smart thing because right now you can easily, being in this game for, I've been in this game for like 7 to 8 months. I know a lot of stuff, but when someone's coming into the game, like that thing you had perfectly, it's what's the difference between first edition and unlimited? It's honestly it's really kind of hard if you haven't been and you're coming, with fresh eyes. So that those are perfect videos. And yeah, I mean, one of the highest viewed videos on my channel is, hey, how do you tell what a cold foil rainbow foil? It's like boom. It's
I
like
watched that yesterday.
yeah, cause and it's like the shittiest camera, and, like, when I
Mhm.
first started, I didn't know what I was doing, and I got I should update that or something, but, like, yeah, it's those types of videos that the new people, like, really need, that's the content that they wanna
Yeah.
watch, and, I mean,
Well,
I think when you started, man, like, what I like about your stuff is you had, like, quality from the beginning, and that was really cool, and like, when I first started, I like was really piecing it together and it took a little bit, but yeah, no, I mean, I really think you have a nice setup.
I appreciate that. I'll be honest though, my quality from the beginning, if we're going back to like 2016 when I was opening up Pokemon packs on a channel I called Captain Pluff,
Hmm.
and I had like 8 subscribers. I didn't really do a whole lot with it. I was buying Pokemon and opening it up and trying to do that, but the quality was awful. It was abysmal, but I had fun with it. Then my roommate moved out and I wasn't able to afford Magic and Pokemon, so I chose Magic because, had to pay more rent. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it's been like I've made videos for a little while and I stopped for a couple years and then I came back with Magic and then now I'm doing this. But yeah, I decided that I wanted to focus on some quality, like audio quality, visual quality. That's why when I got my new phone, I went with one with a good camera. I've got more like audio panels coming up to help with the echo. Like that's what this is. This is like some foam pad because
Oh.
I just knocked it over. I wanted to cut some of the echo out of here because when we had a bed in here and we took it out because my girlfriend does art stuff, so she's got like her section over here and I've got my little like filming area, and so we took the bed out and turns out that absorbed a lot of the echo. So now that's why you probably can hear it here. There's a slight echo in the room.
Slightly, but not too bad,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah, and that's just because I've set stuff up, but I've got more audio panels coming in, so hopefully that cuts the sound because I I kind of decided that I want to see where I can take this channel, see if I can have it where it was really thanks to Kel, Red Zone Rogue, watching one of his videos and even how he talked with you a bit about how he was able. I know in one video he mentioned how he went from a manager job 40 hours a week and now he just works a couple days a week and he's moved down and
I
now
remember
he
that.
mostly does his videos and how he has all these like an affiliate link, which I have no idea how I'd even get one of those, but I'd love to. Like affiliate links and working with Channel Fireball and AdSense and that because I really like making videos. I really like creating and I would love to be able to have more time. So I would love that, maybe in a year from now, be able to leave the job I'm at now, get a job that's maybe 30 hours a week or something, and where I have a little bit more time to spend on the channel and just slowly over time maybe make this to be a source of my income at least.
I think you could definitely do it. I mean, at the rate that you're going and the quality of the content, man, and I think that what we're doing, the niche of like, just ranting and cursing a little bit. I
Mhm.
think it's definitely a smaller niche in the community, but I could definitely see it getting much larger. I mean, for the people who want to like have something like that nobody else is really talking about, and like, hey, this is a different perspective on it.
Mhm.
But I mean, the way you talk too. I mean, was it just those videos, or did you have any type of like speaking type of thing? Because from the beginning, I think you were very concise. I mean, with your words, you definitely would deviate a little bit. Like I really like your first video where you're like, "All right, I'm gonna end it now." I swear to God, I'm gonna end it right now.
10 minutes later.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you like, yeah. But yeah, did you have any like prior experience?
not really. I like to talk a lot, and I read a lot, so I think that maybe is what helps me with words. I used to for from about the age of 8 till about 19,
Hmm.
my goal in life was to actually be an author. I used to write stories. I wrote like a rough draft to a book when I was like 18. It's as good as an 18-year-old could write, it's so meaning it's garbage, but hey, it's something I did. Um, but yeah, I think I've always, I've had a proclivity for words. Like I've always liked the English, like using language and knowing words and speaking well. But I do get off track very easily, and I go on and I ramble a little bit. But I think I tend to retake videos a few times sometimes, especially shorter ones. Like I'll
Hmm.
get 4 minutes in, and then I'll be like, wait, I'm going off track. Like this isn't what I want to talk about. So I cut that recording and I just restart. And because I've really put a focus on trying to make my videos just a little shorter, a little less rambly, and a little more concise because I found that if you're gonna watch something, you want every second of that video to have value in it.
Hmm.
Um, but you get a little bit of wiggle room when it's again videos like yours or mine where you're just kind of putting in the background, you're listening to while you're doing something else. You're more there for the audio. It's almost like a podcast or this conversation. You can't tell me that anybody watching this video is actually watching this video. It's on in the background while you play video games or you cook dinner or you're going for a walk maybe or something if you've downloaded it, which I don't know if anybody does that. I like to do that. I like to download podcasts and conversations and just listen to them while I walk or stuff, but.
You mean they don't want to look at our beautiful faces? That's what you're saying?
I mean,
No, I'm just kidding. No, I
I
totally agree.
imagine they're looking here and there,
Yeah.
but if anybody's like me, it's kind of a background thing, you
Yep.
put it on your phone while you do something else, and I like that content a lot. And I think that's where things like Rudy from Alpha Investments, you or I, and plenty of other people. I think that's where a lot of the value is derived from when we talk about subjects that aren't just deck techs or how to play or anything. Or can we have more expansive conversations? Like your video about the glass, having your glass empty, and your perspectives. You actually learn something from watching these videos. You
Yeah.
get something a little more out of them than just how to blitz deck upgrades or something.
Yeah.
I mean, our channels are growing less quickly than channels that do that. Like there's a couple guys, Hometown TCG. I don't know if you've seen them yet.
I think so. There's so
Yeah,
many.
they're channel man. They've just been getting so big. Like I think they've only been doing it for a couple months, and they're at like
Oh, wow.
over 500, almost 600 subscribers. And they're doing like every single blitz deck upgrades. Like they're doing like their content's very good, and it's appealing to the mass amount of players, right? And I think so that's whereas like us, we're a little more niche.
Oh, for
But
sure.
it's still cool to see all the different types of content, because I will do deck techs, I will do like beginner type videos, but I think my personal favorite is going to be more discussions. Like I said, I want to do more music. I kind of want to maybe try writing parody songs about certain things. I
Yeah,
think
dude,
that
I
would
love
be.
that. I want to see an album. I mean, I really liked your first song. I mean, even though what is it? You said you woke up in the morning like at 6 a.m. and recorded that shit. That's
I woke up at like 2:30, had some coffee, and it was like 6 o'clock. I was actually heading to my dad's that day, so I was just waiting. Like we were leaving later on. My girlfriend was still asleep,
uh-huh.
and I hadn't played guitar in forever because of my pinky injury, and I just started to start fiddling around. And then it just like a lyric, I don't even remember what line it was. Like something about flesh and blood popped into my head. And then next thing I know, within like 45 minutes, I had the whole song written and like
That's
done. And it was just
crazy.
practicing it. Like it just sometimes you sit down and you can't write a song for anything. And I've had some like half finished songs that I've never done, but then other times
It
it
just
writes
comes
itself.
to
It
you,
just
right?
it just yeah, it just flows. And I just went with it. I was happy with it. It brought me a lot of joy just being able to come up with a new song. And I think parodies could be really good too. There's a guy in Magic, MTG Remy, and
Hmm.
he's pretty new. He's I've seen some skits in that from him before, so he does a lot of skits and he also does parody songs, and they're really polished quality. Um, and so that's kind of why I like with Flesh and Blood, like everybody's kind of learning how to make videos for the most part. So it's not like I'm this guy in my room playing guitar with a somewhat okay mic and versus this guy that's got like incredible sound and video quality, right? Like it's hard to compete against that.
Yeah.
But I do hope to get to that one day. Like I do want to get better slightly every single video, improve and really make something that's worth watching more than I already am.
Yeah, and I think that it does take just so many reps, just recording video
Mhm.
after video. And I know we talked about earlier, length of time of videos. And honestly, man, when I first started, I just wanted to do 5-minute videos because, like, who's going to listen to my ass for more than 5 minutes? But then
Me.
as I started creating, this guy reached out to me, said, "Hey, man, I love your stuff, but I listened to it on the ride to work. Could you please make, videos a little longer? I'd love that." And so I started doing it. And I realized that it made me better as a content creator because now I can speak for a longer length of time, and I can push like one subject pretty far. And
Mhm.
now I go, honestly, now I go on a little bit too much. Sometimes I'll go to like 30 or 40 minutes, and I'm like, I
It's
think the
not
20 to 25, I think the 10 to 25-minute range is kind of like, personally, I feel like that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I feel like it depends on how much time people have. Like, I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I like your 30 to 40-minute videos.
Oh, I
Right
appreciate
now
that.
with work, I've got about 30, 35 minutes in the morning when I get up before I leave. But when we're only working 8-hour shifts, I don't work till 7. So I still get up at 5 in the morning, but I've got an hour and a half. So I like to fill that time watching those 30 to 45-minute videos. But I feel like it's the same for me. Like, I had one where I talked about the community and the inevitable heat death as the community grows larger, as people, become more divided, as you get more people with different backgrounds. There's an inevitability that the community is going to get in some way kind of crappy. Like, that's, as anything grows, you're going to get bad people, you know. But
Yeah, I totally
I had
agree.
somebody, yeah, I had somebody comment saying like, "Oh, I can't sit through a 35-minute video." I'm like, "That's perfectly reasonable. Like, fine, you don't want to." And I said, "But I just, I personally like those videos, and so that's why I wanted to occasionally make them." I think it's, yeah, like 20 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes seems like a nice sweet spot.
Yeah.
But I think it's fine to put out those few longer ones here and there because, the people who do want to watch them will watch them. Like your videos lately, I watched them through all the way through. Like, I put them on and I
Oh,
just
thanks,
listen to
man.
them until they're done because I like what you have to say. I enjoy listening to your videos, you know?
Yeah, and I'm the same way with you. And it was funny when I watched one of your videos. I think it was maybe a week or two ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like, I think this guy is like making really good shit." And then I started watching more of your stuff, and you're really funny. I mean, there's a couple of videos in particular where I just watched and I just started laughing. It was so funny how you just like went off on something like really hard, or you what is it when the state of MTG and you were like, "Hey, I'm Sloopdoop, I'm back. Did you miss me?" And you're like, "Well, fuck you then," and you just laughed, and I just started cracking up. It's good.
Yeah.
It's really impressive too, man, because not that many content out there makes me laugh, but that was just like that was really funny.
Well, I'm glad I can make you laugh. That's something I also wanted to have in my channel. Like, I wanted to make people entertained, give them a little something to chuckle about, even if I'm
Yeah.
talking about, a topic that makes me angry. I try to be funny. I don't I don't personally a lot of the times feel like I'm being funny when I'm making videos. Like, when you get self-conscious, like, oh man, that was really cringy. Like, that wasn't,
Because it's hard
a
to
good
tell in
joke.
the
But
moment, right? Like, is
Mhm.
this really funny or am I just being weird? Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite joke was the one that I planned out and you had seen in my I'm a Magic the Gathering YouTuber now, my very first video on this channel where I'm like, "Well, Sloopdoop, like, why would we watch you if everybody else's content's better?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question." And I just pull a quarter out and throw it in the self-deprecation jar. I
Yeah.
literally ate like I think I ate like 4 or 5 pickles out of that jar just so I could empty it so I could put the label on it and do that joke.
That's
It's a good thing
awesome.
I like it's a good thing I like pickles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's really good stuff. And I did a parody video early on, but what's tough about parody videos is a lot of times when you're making serious content, I think it's hard to have your what is it, the people who watch you understand that. But maybe not. Maybe like when I first started, I made this one video where I repacked a couple packs of Flesh and Blood,
Mhm.
and I opened them up, and I was acting like, "Oh, I bought this off of eBay, and the seller was so legit. He gave me them at a discount, right?" And I opened the packs, and there was like Pokemon cards, and I was like, "You know what this means, right? This means that Cardamonde effed up in their printing." And then the next
Yeah.
one, and I like, "You know what this means, right? LSS is like, really cutting back on their quality, man." And I was like, blaming them because obviously, like, if you get that shit someone
You
scammed
know,
you. Yeah.
that somebody scammed you.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just thought it was a fun. But it didn't really get as much reception. But I
Yep.
had fun making it. It was fun.
I've actually so I've had a video idea and
Yeah.
I bought a goofy hat from Amazon and I'm waiting for it. You know, with all the shipping delays, there's a bunch of different things all over the world because of that whole ship situation. Um,
Yep.
that I'm still waiting on, and it kind of sucks because I don't know if have you ever watched Fab Popel, I think his name is.
Yes.
Yes, he released a video yesterday saying the game is dead or Flesh and Blood is dying. It's okay to cry, and he's
Oh
wearing
yeah.
like this goofy unicorn video. And he after he has like his meltdown, you know, making obviously being satirical. He comes back up and he's wearing like this nice suit. And I was like, dude, I literally was planning on making a game where I walk into frame wearing like a really nice like dress clothes and that.
Uh huh.
And the video is all serious and I started out going like, oh wait, just a second. And I come back out and I walk back in and I'm still serious, but I'm wearing like the goofiest hat and I just start talking about how the game is in a bubble and it's dying, like all the, generics, kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm kind of mad that he beat me to it. I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna make my video once I get the hat. But like I was like, dude, I had like a very similar idea to what you just did, and you beat me to it. I'm like, kudos.
That's
His
too
video was
funny.
hilarious, by the way. Like
I
that
didn't
video
check
was
it out. I
absolutely
saw the
oh.
thumbnail and I was just busy at the time, but I want to see that.
Mhm.
He's a really cool content creator. I
Oh
liked
yeah.
some of his points.
Yeah, oh yeah, like he made good points. He actually in that video, he says afterwards, after he does like the joke part, he's
Hmm.
like, "This is great. Like, if you want," he's like, "Why are you upset that the market's going down? Like, if you have a
Yep.
bunch of collection, just hold on to it." And he's like, "And if you're a player, now is the time to buy the cards you like. If you like a
Exactly.
card and you want a cold foil, now is the time to get it. If you don't get in at this time, you're really gonna regret it."
Yeah.
And I think you're
To all the people who were complaining before about the price. Well, here you go.
yeah,
Train's back
and
at
I'm
the
hoping.
station.
Yeah, I'm hoping Unlimited is the one that really goes down, especially as more supply comes out. I think I've heard on the grapevine, like just through other videos, that it seems like they're going to be releasing more Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising Unlimited as well,
Hmm.
which will be good because more product out there. Again, as more stores open it, as more people open it and sell the stuff they don't need, I hope that makes the prices go down and meets the demand because I don't like seeing unlimited prices as high as they are, and I don't think it's because of the investors. That's been my whole point all along. It's players want them.
Yeah.
That's the whole point when I made the song Investors. All of the cards that I talked about were highly playable cards, and like Command and Conquer, nobody's investing on unlimited Command and Conquers, but they're still like $85 Canadian because people want them and they're willing to spend the money on them.
Yeah, and people have like really realized the longevity of this game where, the company's amazing and their
Oh, I love
books
them.
are great. They financially can like hold their shit. They're not like doing irresponsible, debt, getting a ton of debt and being screwed over and making bad decisions that way. And then not only that, the product's amazing and the design space, everything is there. So it's like I think yeah, people are putting money into it because they see like wow, that I mean this is the real deal.
Yeah.
Not like, "Oh, I can buy this box and I can flip it in like a month or 2 and, make, 3 times my profit." There are some of those people, but
Mhm.
in the grand scheme of things, I think it's people who actually like the game and actually like believe in it. I mean, if you see like Saints videos from Fable Hunters, one of his first 2 videos, like a lot of his content is more box openings, I think, and then other discussions. But I really like when he talks about his life experiences. And there's this one where he said, "You know what? I love Flesh and Blood because it reminds me of when I was a child, and it reminds me of like oh, what's that fighting game? I think it was Mortal Kombat or something."
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean from that he was like, "Well, I love this so much, I'm gonna buy out like 10% of Welcome to Wrath, on alpha booster boxes."
Hmm.
So that kind of explains like he didn't say anywhere in the video. The video's like 12 minutes long. He didn't say like, "Oh, I'm buying this to flip this. My ROI is gonna be insane." It's just because he
Mhm.
loved the game. So it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
well, and I think too, like again, with the market softening up and how we were talking earlier, how people were upset that they feel like they missed out on the Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising, like the boom for all the first edition before.
Hmm.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who in 6 months to a year are going to feel the same way about Monarch right now. They
Yep.
didn't pick up Monarch Unlimited or first edition when it was cheaper. They didn't pick up the cards they wanted. They didn't get the cold foils they wanted. Because they got afraid. And when the game still chugs along, you're gonna see people be upset. And like I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to miss this opportunity. I see the prices going down. It's like, well, here's the chance for me to pick up not only stuff like, again, not only sealed boxes to in the future maybe pawn off for something else, but
Mhm.
just to have cards that I like. Like I bought
Oh yeah.
3 Alpha Toma Fiendals, not just because I know they're gonna go up in value as time goes on because they're alpha printing. I like the card, and it's really cool to have a playset from Alpha. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. In Magic, I don't own any Alpha there, and I wasn't around at the time. But like, I'm into this game early enough. Like, I don't think. Well, people outside definitely don't know this, but even a lot of people who are playing the game right now don't truly realize. Like, even getting in at Monarch, you are still some of the earliest players. The
Oh,
game is still so tiny.
it's only been out for a year and a half. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah. And it's going for a lot longer. I
Yeah.
have honest. It's gonna take some sort of cataclysm to get this game to fail because the game is so good. The incentive to play. I think one of the reasons that unlimited prices are so high and that people are willing to spend like $85 on a Command and Conquer, or there's others. That's like the easiest example to give.
Yeah.
Um, is because people want to compete. And
Yep.
so they're willing to spend more to compete because the prizes for competing are worth a lot of money. So it's like you're willing to spend a couple $100 for your play set or whatever because the prizes that you're going to be winning are a couple $100 if you win them. So, it's the incentive to play and to compete is there, and I think that's why this will be an incredibly successful game.
And that's a great card to really pinpoint on too, because you, as a collector, I don't really give a shit about Command and Conquer Unlimited. Like I don't, there's
Mhm.
nothing to collect there. You know, you have the alpha print, which is very cool in my eyes, but the unlimited print, it's not really, something that I think is as collectible. So people who
Mhm.
are buying those cards, it's solely on the power level of the card and how well it's in decks, and people who want to play with it. You know, people aren't going to take their Command and Conquer Unlimiteds and put them in, in a sleeve and then send it out to get graded or
Oh,
anything. You know, people aren't going to like keep stacks of these, in some like cup or something. You know, they're going to put them in their decks. They're going to play with them, and
yeah,
yeah,
that's what
they're
they're
gonna try
for.
to compete. Yeah, so that's a
And that's
perfect thing to put an
mhm.
example as.
Yeah, and that's why I would like cards like Command and Conquer Unlimited to be maybe like $30 to $40. I feel like the $20 to $40 or even $20 to $50 range, depending on the
Yep.
card, how many copies you need. Sorry. I feel like that's like the perfect range for good cards. That's what I feel like a lot of people feel is reasonable. I don't want a store to open up a bunch of boxes and not even be able to break even on those, right? Like
Hmm.
that's important. If you want stores to carry these cards so you can buy them. You can go on Dual Kingdom. You can go on 401 Games here in Canada. You can go on, TCG Player even. If you want to be able to do that, the cards need to have some value for the boxes. Like you can't open up a box and pull, you buy a box for, let's say from a distributor, you pay like $80 Canadian. I know American prices, that's like what you buy your boxes for.
Hmm.
But over here they're about 105 for players. You don't want them to open up these boxes and only pull like $50 worth of cards. Because then what
Exactly.
are they gonna do? Well, they're not gonna open them in the future, and then you'll never be able to find the singles that you want. Because a big part of the game is, yes, I like opening product, it's fun, but when I'm building decks, I usually just buy the singles. Once I know a deck that I want to build, I'll maybe get a box of a new set or a few boxes, but then I just get the singles that I need for the decks that I need.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue with Crucible of War right now is that there's just not enough out there. I got lucky and was able to I bought a rainbow foil and a non-foil version of Spoils of War from somebody on the Discord. And the really cool thing about the rainbow foil is it's first edition. So like that card just being
Yeah.
first edition and rainbow foil, I think I paid like 90 for it. Or no, I think it was 150 for the rainbow and then 90 for the non-foil. Because the card, like I think TCG players got it for like almost like 160 or something like that, or 70. Like the
Jeez.
card's like, yeah. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not
No,
a
I think
huge
you're right.
finance guy, but but the fact that I was able to get them cheaper, and again, like that rainbow foil, it's like it's worth it because in the future, when I can get the unlimited version, if I don't need the rainbow foil, a few years down the line, because it's a rainbow foil first edition majestic from Crucible, it's going to be worth more than your average card because again, it's a foil majestic from first edition. Like
Yeah.
that alone is going to make is it's not cold foil, but even the rainbow foils are going to be worth something, which you know. So I pay now, but it could end up paying for itself later. I
Yeah,
could sell it for
totally.
something I need.
Especially with the printings of Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising First Edition, and then Crucible. Crucible's double, but even still, you know, people say, oh, the cold foils are where it's at, and that's true for the most part. But the rainbow foils definitely have a much lower print run than I think people want to like acknowledge. Like
Yeah.
if you even look at the common rainbow foils for Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising, it's pretty low in my mind. And what's crazy too is when you use those cards, you don't just use one. You know, the common
Mhm.
ones, you use a bunch of them. And especially
Yeah.
the majestic rainbow foils in Welcome to Wrath, I think there's some people who think that that is more rare than a legendary cold foil from Welcome to Wrath, which is pretty surprising. I don't know if that's
I
100% true, but they think that there's around like maybe like 800 to 900 versus 1,000. Have you ever heard of that?
yeah, I mean,
That's pretty
maybe.
crazy.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean,
It's all
because I know
speculation
in
because we don't
Unlimited,
know for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, because I know in Unlimited, I think it's like one in every 4 boxes. I actually got lucky in Unlimited. I pulled a foil, rainbow foil, Enlightened Strike.
Hmm.
And again, like the price of that is never going to go way up. But I think at the time of pulling it, it was like $120, and I'm like,
Oh wow.
that's really cool. Like that paid for the box right there.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
let
good
alone all the
dopamine
other stuff
rush.
that I got. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you're not going to get that lucky every box. Sometimes you get real stinkers, and
yep.
that's like I said, I've got this Monarch First Edition sitting here. If I open it and get stinkers, but I mean. At the same time, that could be the library.
It
I
could be
could
a
I could
library
pull
in
the
there.
Fabled. If I pull that, I'm sitting on what? It's like $4,000 right now, or 3,500.
Yeah, something like that. It's
I wouldn't
nuts.
sell it. I would double sleeve it, put it in a top loader, and I would actually maybe not right now, but I'd keep it safe, and then in a couple of years when like all the grading, like PSA catches back up with everything, maybe I'd consider sending it through there, or I'd just pay the few hundred to get the fast tracking,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
to
there's
get
two
it done.
methods. Don't you have to like don't you have to pay more money if the card is worth like let's say that card goes to $50,000? Do you have to pay like an like a more? Because the thing is, I feel like if you grade it now, and that's what I like. I haven't graded anything yet, but then
Mhm.
now I'm thinking, oh man, maybe I should have graded shit because like the card value went from like literally $500 to 4,000. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, I actually I've never graded anything either. I know I've been watching on the Reddit for Pokemon. I've been watching people grade literally everything. Like they pull like a $15 amazing rare or a full art and they're like, "Oh, I got it graded like it's a 10." And it's like that's great, but it's not it's just like
Yeah,
it's nothing worth grading. It's crazy.
yeah, because the
Um
supply is so high, right? Like,
yeah, but
yeah.
like if I pulled a cold foil fabled or a legendary, I genuinely would consider. I think it's the amount of time and like yeah, there are different like tiers. They've cut off like the really cheap grading for PSA.
Hmm.
And so now you have to pay like a few $100s to get a card graded. And if you're doing that with like a generic new Pokemon card, you're just crazy. Like you have no idea what you're doing. That's just insane to me. But you pull $1,000 cold foil legendary or something. Like I can see spending a few hundred, especially if you're planning on keeping it or collecting it, or just you're like, hey, I know this is gonna be worth something in the future that I pulled. Get it graded, sit on it for 5 years, and then sell it for like $15,000 or something. That's the random price. And there's Poppy. She's back.
Oh yeah, your cat. I
Yeah,
saw.
one of them. I have two cats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I've
I
only
got
seen
Poppy and Galahad.
I've only seen Poppy in your videos so far.
Yeah, she came in that one. I left the door. I can't remember. I don't even think the door was open. I think she was just in here, and so she came up and pawed at me. Oh no, sorry, that was when I was editing, right? Because I realized I'd forgotten to say
Yeah,
for them
Therese
to I'm
Nielsen.
gonna say it here. Yeah. Oh, there's Galahad. They're coming to join
Oh,
me. Yeah,
nice.
no, I've decided I'm saying that in every video. I genuinely would love to see Therese Nielsen artwork in this game. I think Wizards did her dirty.
That sounds like a good song too.
Yeah, yeah, you've put that thought into my head, I'll be honest with you. And it's that question of like, do I try to write a new one? Because I only have so many like random chord progressions that I've just had on the back burner.
Hmm.
Like because guitar is one of those things where it's I've played it for about 5 years, but it's not my main hobby. It's not the main thing I do. But if I start, making more music for the channel, if I try to be that guy who's like I discuss things and I play a little bit of music, I will probably improve even more than I have this far. I
Yeah.
hope.
And honestly, I think it would be really great for her too, because I mean, if you think about Flesh and Blood, it seems like it's the up and coming underdog. So it'd be like, hey, like, get back a little bit, because I
Yeah.
don't know why she was dropped so hard.
It's
Like it was just it was nuts at the time because the art
yeah.
is so good, and I just
So
ugh.
yeah, I think it was a twofold thing. I think now somebody had pointed this out, and I hadn't thought about this at the time, but when Therese Nielsen was commissioned as an artist in Magic, it was a different system. So every time they want to use her art, they have to pay her like
Mhm.
royalties, basically. And now they Wizards just if they commission somebody, they just own your art, so they don't have to pay you anytime they want to reuse the art, which is as a
Uh,
company in a business model makes sense. So Twitter, a bunch of people on Twitter got upset that she was following conservatives on Twitter, and that she follows somebody like Alex Jones, and it's like I the amount of people that follow Alex Jones just because they find him funny is like it's one of those
it's
things
pretty
like
funny.
yeah, like I there was people who were just getting really up in arms about who she was following because that's the part of the Magic community I didn't like, the very far left, like people who if you disagree with them they'll just rip you apart like you are it's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of the cancel culture type people.
yeah.
They got into Magic, and that's what I hope doesn't happen to Flesh and Blood, is the kind of people who genuinely believe that who you follow on Twitter is a good judgment for your moral character. If you're judging somebody's entire personality on who they follow on Twitter, you need to take a step back from social media. You need to get off Twitter. You need to reconnect with reality because that's just crazy to me. And
Yeah.
I'm not even a conservative. Like I'm not even a conservative that's arguing for conservatives, right? Like I'm actually pretty, liberal myself. But just I don't care that she's conservative or that she liked a couple tweets that, maybe
I
they
like the
were a
art.
little yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
care what
like
I don't care what's happening in the background there. Like the
yeah.
art's really good. And yeah,
Yeah.
Alex Jones is like the freaking Boogie 2988. I feel. I mean, it's just like some guy who's just like us, but he rants a little bit too hard.
A
And
little bit too much,
yeah.
they're turning the frogs a little too gay.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the kind of guy who rants, but he doesn't say like, "Oh, well, I could be full of shit." He's like, "I am the god of all men. Like this is how I believe, and everyone
Yeah.
else is wrong."
If
I
you
think he's
take, I
funny,
don't know.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you take Alex Jones like seriously, I feel like you're the one with the problem. Like it's just you got to sometimes sit back and just have a chuckle.
yeah,
Even if he's 100% serious in everything he's saying, if he's a little bit off his rocker, so what?
yeah.
For me, it's like I'm just gonna sit back and laugh about it. I'm not gonna take it all too seriously. I don't know. I really don't
Well,
like what
because it's the
Wizards did. I think.
conspiracy theories, right? Like when he goes on a rant about a conspiracy theory, it just goes like to like some other level, and you're like, "Wait, what? How does
Yeah,
this even?" Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah, so
crazy.
I think Wizards saw the opportunity because Wizards as a company is also going pretty far like into the social justice, like left politics kind of thing. People who work at the company, and especially like with the online platforms and like social media, that's the way it's been leaning lately. And so I think the higher ups saw the opportunity to use that as a reason to drop Therese Nielsen because, well, again, they don't want to have to pay her every time they use her art. So it's like they saw the opportunity and they did it. And I just, I had somebody tell me that the LSS won't commission Therese Nielsen because she comes with controversy. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like most of the people who are playing Flesh and Blood don't care that Therese Nielsen liked some conservatives. Like the people who
Yeah, I
are
don't
playing the
think
game
so.
right now are the more serious people, competitive type people who just love card games. They're not interested in the social politics. They're not interested in all this extra stuff. They want to play a card game. They want beautiful art. That's what we want. We don't really care about all the outside stuff. We just want to play a good game with gorgeous art. And I think it would be a good move to commission Therese Nielsen and bring her into the game.
Yeah, and I don't know if they will. I know they got Steve Argyle, but it does
Mhm.
definitely look like the general artists that they're using are more of like upstarts and people who are like not as like famous. Maybe that is for a commission type of thing where they don't want to spend as much money, or maybe they
Yeah, they just
pay their
don't.
artists very well. Maybe they
Well,
pay them very well, and then like Therese is coming into the picture, and then it's like, well, if you're going to pay them that much, how much are you going to pay me? And it's
mhm.
kind of and it's worth every penny. But maybe also too, it definitely does seem like the card art in Flesh and Blood is very similar. So I guess maybe if you tell an artist that maybe they really wouldn't want to like conform to a certain type of style, I don't know. There's a bunch of different aspects in it, but I am very
Yeah.
surprised that only Steve Argyle has been chosen so or he's I think the only ex MTG artist that is now doing Flesh and Blood stuff.
Yeah. I know like the artist for Prism actually. She has done art for Magic as well because I looked
Oh,
up her art and I saw art that I recognized from Magic. I don't remember what the cards were, but I was like, I've seen that before. Like I've seen those on Magic cards. And so I think they have a few people who like I think they really do go LSS seems to go for like more up and coming artists.
yep.
I think probably one they want to as a startup company themselves, they want to help other people, you know, start their you know, their careers, but also being a newer company, you can't, you know, maybe at the point at right now, even with how popular the game has gotten, maybe they can't afford Therese Nielsen because I can imagine she's not cheap, right? She's
Oh
one of
yeah.
Magic's biggest artists. She's very famous. I can imagine her work is not cheap. So I wouldn't blame them. But you know, if the game grows, you know, even in a couple years, if they hire Therese Nielsen, you know,
Oh,
I
for
might end
sure.
up stopping with the joke with the whole I'm gonna say it in every video. Maybe I'll just have it at like the end screen. I'll just have a little like commission Therese Nielsen
Yeah,
instead of
put it
me
like on a box
saying
or
it.
something.
Yeah.
Like I
Maybe
have
yeah, put it up on the wall, like just have it in the background, like
like
underneath my painting of her painting there. Just have it underneath like commission Therese Nielsen.
yeah. Hashtag. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know, but even if they don't, I mean, I just think it'd be really cool to see her because, like, I would love to see her also get to work with a company that treats her well because Wizards is well known for treating everybody they deal with like garbage. They are an awful company to work for. They are an awful company to work with. And, you know, like, even just looking at employee reviews that have left the company, they're awful. Like, they
Mhm.
all say the same thing. Management's awful. They don't know how to assign people to the right roles. You know, you're getting treated like garbage. You're expected to work far more than you actually get paid for. And so it'd be really cool to see any artist really, any artist that's been burned by magic. Except for one. There is one where he got Noah Bradley. His art's great,
Oh
but turns
yeah.
out he was using his position as a famous artist at these events that he was going to kind of really pressure young women into sexual acts with him or whatever it was. Like he even self-admitted, and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense why you might not want to work with that guy if he's a
Yeah.
self-admitted, you know, sexual offender. Like, I'm sorry, that's a step too far. You know, having some opinions I don't like, that's one thing. Actually, you know,
Yeah,
preying
coercing and doing
on
weird.
younger women, that's a whole other thing that we're not even gonna entertain.
Yeah. No, no, I totally agree, and it will be interesting to see how they handle like the art going forward. And I really do like if you looked at ArtStation, it looks like how they do it, and I didn't understand it before. Is they give them like A, B, C, and D, like different like art types, like a little sketch, like a little doodle on each, and they said, hey, this is what we want. You know, go nuts. You could do you know any of these, and I
Okay,
think
yeah.
that's a cool aspect. And what is it? Uh, it's cool too to see the whole drawing process. Like, did you see Memorial Ground and that other the sigil? I mean the Talisman of Dowsing on YouTube. The artist put up a little like time lapse of making the art. I thought that was
I
really
didn't
cool.
see that.
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna have to check
epic.
that out. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, I think the beneficial like I think I have high hopes for the art improving because everybody has been saying the same thing. Like that one Runeblade card, the Sonata or whatever it was, where it's got the big spiraling, like just
That thing is
such
so good.
gorgeous art, right? And you know what? I will say they've been nailing it out of the park with the equipment. The equipment and the legendary stuff looks fantastic, right?
It
It's not
does.
all the cards, but there is a kind of samey art style. And LSS is listening. They want to improve. They're open to criticism, and so I think they will improve as sets go on because they're going to be like, okay, players are asking for more unique art, and I think with Kingdoms probably as soon as Kingdoms, I feel like they're going to start delivering on that, and it's going to be you know a gradual improvement set after set. I mean, Monarch itself was such an improvement upon the art style and everything. Like Monarch is just a gorgeous set.
It's so
Um,
good.
and some wicked art for some of the shadow stuff. Like man, some of it's really brutal.
I agree,
And I
and
love it. Like.
honestly, it's gonna be looked at, I think, like Urza's block. Urza's block
Mhm.
for Magic the Gathering just had amazing art, and I think that's, like, when you were talking about how people are gonna regret it, and then, you know, Monarch is gonna be viewed as, like, the breakout set. I think you hit the nail on the head there, you know?
Yeah. And I think, like I said before, one of the things that helps Monarch so much is the Blitz decks. Having this product that new players are easily, like, over the next probably several months, you're going to just see people coming in because if these decks are available, they'll hear about Flesh and Blood and they find out, oh, I can buy a deck for 15, 12 to $15, pick one up or a couple of them up, play with friends. Like I did a
Yep.
YouTube Shorts even where I mentioned how you can take two of them and mash them together. You'll have like if you play both copies of all the rares and the mentors and that, and then 3 copies of each common, you'll have to remove 3 cards because it leaves you with 63. But you literally have a working Ultimate Pit Fight deck just by putting 2 decks together.
Oh, that's badass.
And I was like, that is such a good part of this product because
I didn't think about that. Yeah, if you have 2 decks, do you
there's
just take the generics in one deck and just shove them in the other one?
like and just
That's
you
brilliant,
play
man.
two mentors, 2 of each rare. Yeah, and I mean if you
I
want
don't
to
think
upgrade
I've
them
heard
further,
anyone
maybe buy
else
a
say
third.
that. Huh?
Because what I did with the decks, why I opened them, I opened every single one and I built an Ultimate Pit Fight deck. Out of like my friends and I, we sat down, we played the decks as Blitz decks first, and then I turned each one to an Ultimate Pit Fight deck, and 4 of us sat down and played the 2 Monarch Blitz decks mashed together as an Ultimate Pit Fight deck,
Oh,
and
dude.
it was a fun experience. And I think that's really good for people who are commander players for Magic because that's like Ultimate Pit Fight. I'm into Blitz right now because I want to enter some events in that, but I
Yeah, of
still
course.
like playing with just a few friends and just sitting down, having some fun casual games. And just I think the Blitz decks are a great entry point for that too. Just buy 2, boom, you can start playing Flesh and Blood Commander with your friends.
Dude, that's such a good idea because here's the thing, like, let's say, you get 2 decks, right? You'd be like, "Oh, buy 2 of these decks, and not only can you play against each other, right? But then
Mhm.
if you want to play Classic Constructed, if they even had like maybe a little symbol on each of the cards that you like put like together, so you just go through them and you just put those 2 together and make a Classic Constructed deck. I mean, that's brilliant. I haven't heard of that
Yeah.
because like
Well, actually,
the first product was classic constructed deck, so
mhm.
you could like take cards out. But I didn't think about like putting these 2 together, and then you could make like a legit like combined deck because
Yeah.
yeah, that's all the products you really need like
Yeah,
to
I mean
get into stuff.
you obviously can't play the mentor, but again,
Yeah,
there's 3 extra cards, and for each one, I just took out like a common or something. It wasn't that big of a deal,
yeah,
like 3 commons. But yeah, so for you would just remove the 2 mentor cards you can't play, and the only thing you would need is an adult hero. Although I would argue it's like the difference between the young heroes and the adult is just the
it's the
life total.
health.
I'm
Yeah.
sure if you went to an event, actually no, you know what? They come with those full art cards of the adult hero.
Oh
You
yeah,
could,
you're
I
right.
guarantee you, even if you go to an event and you say, I play this as my adult hero. Like I want to play Classic Constructed. I don't have a token of regular Prism or something. You cool if I just it's like, yeah, you're just changing your life total. Like who cares?
Yeah, nobody cares.
Nobody's gonna be it's it's a token. Like I've even thought, like I said, I used to paint and like make my own I'm not very good at art, but I like doing it from time to time. I've made like my own tokens for Magic, and I've thought about doing that for Flesh and Blood, like with the weapons or something. Like Dorinthia's Dawnblade, I was like, I could do that as a as the Hylian sword from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
The
that'd be
Spectral
cool.
Shield tokens for Prism, you could do as the Hylian Shield if you wanted to, if you were into
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many different things you can do with that, and I'm like, hey, that's something I eventually I'll sit down when I have the time to actually spend a couple hours doing one. Um, but yeah, there's just I don't know, man. There's just so many aspects of this game I love. I don't think there's a single thing that I mean, okay, supply issues is obviously one thing I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of, but it's not LSS's fault. That's just
But
the
that's
state of the
actually
world right
like
now.
because the game is so damn good, you can't get it because everyone else wants it. It seems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
And
man. So, I appreciate your time talking Sloopdoop. Is there anything you wanna you bring up or ask me or? Yeah, it's cool talking to you because like I feel like you're the Canadian version of me. You're the Canadian Bronson. No,
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Canadian Bronson. Yeah.
no,
I'm not
I'm
maybe
just
not
kidding
as
there.
cool as the Canadian Bronson, but I try. I have to be honest, when I found your channel, I really liked it because I realized that's kind of the way I wanted to go too. And so it is kind of cool to see somebody else. And it's in a way where I don't even feel like I'm competing with you. Like I feel like our audiences would be roughly the same, and
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. It's like I'm not, because we're just doing discussion videos, there's no real competition. It's not like I'm trying to compete with somebody who's doing a bunch of deck techs all the time and that's like their goal. So yeah, I think the only thing I can say is the more I've sat here looking at this Monarch First Edition box, the more I want to open it. But man,
dude, put
I
it in your closet
that's what I'm
before.
thinking. I've got a closet in the bedroom that's like got all the towels and
It's my
like
trick.
linen closet. set it up behind some stuff.
It's so
Um,
fucking hard. I
it
don't know.
is like part of me wants to
I'm
open it because
bad.
I do have more first edition coming in. So it's like, do I open one just to see what I get? But I feel like once I open one, then I'm gonna want to open the next one because if I don't pull anything good, the next one I'm gonna be like, well, maybe I get
Yeah.
something good in this one, you know. And I don't know if I want to open up that rabbit
Because
hole.
of statistics, right? Well, if this didn't
Mhm.
get me anything, then I have more chance to get something in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
no,
gambling addiction is real.
I've opened 3 first edition Monarch boxes, and I have 4 cold foil commons. So it's it's tough. And but I have other what is it, boxes that I just, I think I have like I have 2 cases of Monarch first edition. I'm just gonna keep that
Nice.
sealed, out of sight, out of
Mhm.
mind. I don't know about it because it's
Yeah, I
just
think.
like, you don't know what it's gonna do in the future, and
Oh yeah,
honestly, it's good trade fodder. We've had that discussion at the
yeah.
35-minute mark.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah, like I didn't even pay anything for these Monarch boxes. I've just been selling a bunch of Magic cards to a store for trade value, and
Hmm.
then like I sold, like the one I bought a couple boxes with was like $1,500 trade value. So I'm like, cool. The Monarch boxes they have them for 600 Canadian because our prices are more than American prices by usually a significant amount.
Hmm.
Um, but I was like, cool, I can get 2 boxes, and even if I open this first one, I've got another one coming in. I've got some more trade value coming in, so I'm going to be getting, another hopefully couple boxes. So even if I open one, I'm hoping to have like at least a case of them. Like it's not going to be a sealed case; it's going to be 4 loose boxes. But I think if I'm going to buy a lot of first edition, I'm going to try mostly for Kingdoms when it comes out when I can get pre-release prices.
That's smart.
Hopefully, I can get like I'm aiming for like at most like 3 cases. I don't want to buy like pallets of this stuff and sit on all these boxes and be a hoarder or anything.
Oh yeah,
But I like the idea of opening up a case and having a couple for later that I can use to trade. I think that's where a lot of people are going to go, and people have a problem with that. Then I guess I don't know what to tell you. Like
yeah.
I want to be smart about it. I want to be smart with my money and get more out of this game. And again, I feel like a lot of people that get upset about that are those who missed out on the chance to do that or never had the foresight to do that.
Yeah, honestly,
So
me, I just want to grow my collection as much as possible. If I had $1 million, if I was a multimillionaire, I wouldn't have to do that shit. I would open every single box because I don't care, you
oh
know.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, I
it's
keep
like,
some
yeah,
sealed anyways
maybe I would.
because
I
that's
can't
another
say for
thing. Yeah,
sure
like I think the other thing too is I've never collected sealed product for a game, but I kind of want to for Flesh and Blood. Like I think it'd be
because
cool
it's so
to
new, right?
still
A year and a
have
half.
one, yeah, like still have one sealed box of Monarch First Edition when I'm like 70 years old. Like
Yeah.
just if until I'm done with the game, it'd be really cool to have this collection and hold on to some of this stuff. Like I said, I got the Ira Welcome Deck 2018 one. And I'm not gonna sell it. I'm not gonna open it. I'm just gonna keep it because it's cool. Like this is
Yeah.
from the very, very
It's
beginning
the
of the game, and
history
I never
behind
thought
it.
I'd yeah, like I never thought I'd get this. It just came with the box. So I was like, oh, that's really awesome. Like I'll take that, and I'm just gonna keep it sealed because why open it? I just think it's cool to have.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
You know.
especially behind like a little plasticky thing. Like, yeah, knowing
Yeah, like a
like
little
these were the
case.
first cards that were ever printed in this game.
I
It's beautiful.
I think as I build a sealed and like collection of like promos and that too, I might try to get myself one of those standing glass cases, like display, like where they've got like all the shelves and you can set. You see them for people with like all their figures or their or like
Yeah.
Pokemon collections or that. Eventually, one day, I probably will do something like that, and that would be great for like a background to a video, like a backdrop.
Oh
Having
yeah.
having like a glass display case. Like I've got my shelf and everything with stuff on top, but like that's about all I've got to work with right now. Eventually, I'd love to get something like your poster in the background there.
Oh yeah, this is really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, because before it was just like white walls, but yeah, it's nice to have like something legit in the
Something of a
background.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it makes it more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, but I mean, in yours, I really like it. You have the sound things in the background, the black. It just looks very, crisp.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually I've got more of the tags that I use to hang them up with. They're like little Velcro tags. So you stick one to the wall, you stick one to the back of the pad.
Hmm.
But I put them up after I let them like rise because they come really squished down and flat. You got to leave them for a couple days so they can actually like expand. And when I hung them up, I just over time they've ended up like separating. So there's like little gaps in between, and I don't know if it comes through the video very well, but I can see it from here, and it's like eventually I want to go through and really get them looking nicer than they do now, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But
Well, man, I've had a blast talking with you. Like, it's
oh,
just
this is
cool talking to people in the community. And honestly, man, when I saw your stuff recently, it's been really addictive. Honestly, I've binged your content. I really like it. It's awesome having another person in the community who's like making content like me, but in a different way, man. You're doing a bunch of different shit. You're doing the music videos, which are really badass. And oh, that would be cool if you had like a music type video where you have like you like in a field or some shit, or
oh man, you know,
that's
I
next
gotta be
level.
honest.
But I don't know, huh?
I gotta be honest with that video, the one I just released, the investor song. I was so done by the time I finished it, like because my fingers hurt so much from playing. Like all the takes that it took me almost like an hour to get that thing shot, like that couple minute video. But and so I did the end cards and I uploaded it, and then I remembered that I was going to put like little jokes in there, like when I say, but the prices of spring tunic make me want to throw myself on a barbed wire fence.
Uh
I
huh.
wanted to take like a stock image of like a soldier, you know, when soldiers would lay down on the barbed wire fence in like
Yeah,
World
yeah.
War II and that, so their
So
fellow
everyone
like
can.
their the other guys can climb on them. I was gonna get an image of that and then just put like the spring tunic on the back, like just some weird, badly photoshopped picture. Um, just as like a little, a little joke. And I completely forgot. I uploaded the video and then like half an hour later, I was like, oh, god damn it. But I was, I had a couple comments by then, so I'm like, I'm just gonna leave it. Like,
Nah, nah, it's
maybe
perfect.
in the future I'll re-record it if I have like a better recording setup here in the room as I get more audio panels. Maybe one day I get a better camera, a better mic. As time goes on. It's not something I'm gonna do now,
Or
but
better yet, you're gonna have a really diehard fan who's good at editing and good at that shit, and then he does it, and he does the whole like type of stuff. Because honestly, I don't know. I don't like editing personally. I'm
I
not.
don't either.
It's just time consuming, and some people do. Some people that's their bread and butter. Like Kale from Dead Summer Art, he loves to
Mhm.
do it, and
Oh,
he's like doing it
it's
all, and it just looks beautiful.
it
And I could
does. It
never
does.
do that.
And looking at that content, that's one of the things, like I want to start editing a little bit, learning a little bit so I can improve. But yeah, like I've even considered, and I'm going to do it. I'm gonna spend probably about 75, but I want to get somebody to give me a professional looking banner and channel icon,
Hmm.
because I just, again, I want to make quality, like I want to portray quality. I want to grow the channel. Maybe one day, as if I do more music and I feel like my channel's at a point where it's worth it, I might even open up a Patreon, offer some cool things. If I do music, maybe I offer music, like if you're a patron, you just, here's a free download link or
Signed
something.
CD.
Yeah. Or I'll probably do what like Red Zone Rogue does, where it's like I give away like promos and cards or packs or something, like just
Oh
little
yeah, that's a
things,
good
you
system.
know.
I personally, I'd hate to like do the shipping and handling stuff, but honestly,
Mhm.
once you get it down pat, I think it's not too bad, and that's perfect for patrons because then they're getting something physical back for
Yeah.
that
Yeah, because
kind of
if
stuff.
you're gonna give me money to support me, that's great. But I'd like to give something back more than just like me talking in my room for 15 minutes and uploading a video. Like that's not like I want, if I'm gonna ask people that, or give them the option to support me. I'm not gonna ask people to like, hey, give me money, but it's like the option's there if you choose. But
Mhm.
I want to at least feel like the what I'm offering is worth that, like worth giving people the option.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like
smart.
a 15-minute video in my room, it's like some people would think so, but it's like it's so little effort right now that it's, to turn on a camera and talk for 15 minutes and then make a quick thumbnail and then upload it. That it just doesn't feel, it's like that doesn't feel worth people giving me a lot of like, money for.
Yeah, and I have this saying now. It's like I feel like we're kind of this type of thing. It's not content creator. It's more like a content interactor. Like we love the game and we want to talk about it. But there's only so much talking that we can do with the people in our lives. So
Yeah.
doing it on YouTube and having general conversations in the comment section and all that stuff. That's kind of the goal, and to grow the game and do the
Oh yeah.
positive community thing. And I know in one of your videos too recently you were talking about making a podcast type stuff. Dude, you should do it. I think that would be like really legit. Like, do you have
Hmm.
like a play group with your friends? You were thinking about like doing that? Like, like
Yeah, like
having
having one or
discussions.
two of my friends. I mean, the thing is, they're a lot more casual about card games than I am. Like, I am way more into this game than either of them, like the two
Hmm.
main friends, and then we have like a fourth one that we hang out with too. He's a bit too busy to really hang out with them all the time.
Hmm.
And he mostly plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Although he never wanted to play Magic, but he was willing to try Flesh and Blood, and we gave him a Brute
Ooh.
deck, and he actually likes it. So we've just been throwing all the Brute stuff we've opened at him. So he's got like a bunch of the Majestics and that. It's just we don't get the chance to hang out with him every
Yeah.
week. But I have really thought about it. I think I'd enjoy doing a podcast and maybe with my one or two of my other friends doing just like an ultimate pit fight podcast. You know, I've like the working name I've had in my head is Murder Your Friends.
I love
You know,
that.
that'd be the MYF podcast. Um, and it would just be more of a discussion about what we've learned about the format, maybe doing some deck techs or like people maybe send us their deck lists and we can help them to kind of upgrade it or talk the philosophies of the format because it is a much different format than Classic Constructed and Blitz. Like it's a totally different format. It's
Hmm.
political, it's multiplayer, it's you know, like I said, a strategy that I found to be working is just kind of pinging each opponent a little bit here and there because then it kind of keeps both of them at bay. You're not making yourself a huge threat.
Yep.
And just having those kind of conversations. I think I'd enjoy it. Obviously with this I mean we both like talking. We're both that kind of person. I love to just converse about things. So I think a podcast would be nice. And even if I did it bi-weekly, you know, I think that could be I think it could be a good addition to the channel. Just I might just do a little bit of everything.
Dude, I think it'd be cool. Yeah, and I know you were thinking about like, well, I want to do this, but I don't know if you're like, I wanted to keep it more general, maybe, so I could like expand on it, not just Ultimate Pit Fight, or maybe you should.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, what is it? That's a tough one. Like with my thing, I wanted to just talk with people and have a thing where it's like you're raw and real, you know? Because I feel like as content
Yeah.
creators, you have to like, you have to entertain. It's obvious, but it's cool to just have a thing where you just have a nice little chat with people
Oh
and
yeah.
talk. But
I think this format that you've got here, I actually think as time goes on, it will be probably one of the bigger things on your channel. Like I think these are kind of your more evergreen videos,
yeah.
where as time goes on and as Red Zone Rogue, for instance,
Yep.
as his channel gets more popular, if people see your video pop up in their suggestion feed or something that it's like drinking with Bronson, like people will watch your video throughout time. Like people will go back and or will go back sometimes and rewatch if it's they really enjoyed the conversation. You know, there might be somebody that really enjoys our conversation and 5 months from now goes back to rewatch it, you know, or you know, if one of our channels gets big, then people will start to watch it more. So I think it's a good format and I think it's a good way to bring the community together too. I actually think that your videos here are really helpful in that regard.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I know they're a bit long, but yeah, it's nice talking to like I've talked to so many different people in the community. It's pretty crazy, but just yeah, just having that like as a time capsule is really cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
but anyway,
Yeah,
man.
I need to talk to more people in the community. It's just trying to find time.
But yeah, no, I will say, dude, yeah, finding time and like coordinating shit. Like you and I had to do it for
Mhm.
like a week and a half, and I'm really like uh what is it? I really don't have too much time, but it's just yeah, it's nice when I can. And that's the thing
Yeah.
with Flesh and Blood, man. I wish I could play more. I wish this game came out in college. Like what the hell? Like
Yeah, I know, I
I would have
know.
played so much of this game in college. I
I
had
have
so much
yes.
time.
Yeah, it's like I have actual responsibilities now. I can't just play card games for 8 hours a day anymore.
Yeah,
I got errands to run and people to take care of. So, all right,
life.
should we stop, you know, going back and forth on this one? Should we I know you've tried to end it a couple times. See, this is what I do. I say I'm going to end
Yeah.
something and then I just go on for another 20 minutes.
No, I love it, man. No, it's good for content creating. But yeah, is there anything you want to plug, like your channel and all this stuff at the end? I really like your
Um,
channel, like I said, but yeah,
I
what's it
mean,
like in your own words?
so I guess yeah, if you've watched this far, if you've enjoyed the conversation, chances are you'll like my channel.
I
You know,
like
it's
it.
Sloopdoop. It's you'll be able to find me easily. I'll have commented on this once it uploads, so you can find me through there. I think if I'm gonna suggest anything, the one video that I really want people to watch is my song Investors. It's the title is Investors, a song of flesh and blood.
I'll put
Just
a link
because
down below. I'll put a link down
yeah,
below to it.
I'm kind of proud of it. Like there was a big part of me that's kind of nervous when I uploaded it. You know, I just went for it. I didn't like stop myself. I just did it because I'm like, I know if I sit here and be anxious about it, I won't upload it. But after I
Hmm.
uploaded it, I was like, oh God, this is probably gonna be like this could either people will like it or people will really not like it. Like it's one or the other. So I'm glad people like it. I'm glad that it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's really good,
But yeah,
man, and it's cool to
and
do
if
stuff that's like new and unique.
Yeah, like I just realized nobody else is doing music for this game. So I'm like, hey, maybe I could fill that niche. Maybe I could start doing that and build something off of it, add that to the channel, and maybe it doesn't pan out and I drop it. Same with like a podcast. I
Yep.
want to find what I like most, what I can use to help the channel grow and to make something out of it. Because I love creating. I like making things and I want to take this to its end point. I want to do something with this channel.